I don't know, man. Gold
We were
might have.
just talking about
Gold
tank tops
might have
on
said it.
airplanes and I seriously doubt. How about that? I seriously doubt that Alex said anything. He did sneak a photo of their feet. I believe them to be. I think it's a woman.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. But I just like if I'm.
That didn't make it better.
The only thing that makes it worse is that if she saw him taking the photo, she could accuse him of being a creep, and like that being his thing.
Well, she has her shoes off. She's actually the creep.
But all
so
I'm
it'd be a
saying is
creep.
like. It could be it could be perceived as a creepy move if you're taking a picture of women's feet on an airplane.
But if it went on Twitter or something like that, you said, all right, who's more of the creep? The person taking the picture or the person without their shoes? It would clearly be the person without their shoes would be considered the creepiest.
I don't think he put it on the internet, but he did send it to us. And of course, somebody already had their shoes off. So we will catch up with Alex next week as he enjoys his time over there in the Bahamas. Lots to get to today. Obviously, Salvador Perez got an extension. We'll talk to JJ Piccolo coming up at 12:30, the Royals general manager, plus Ross Tucker on his normal slot coming up in 30 minutes from now. But obviously a huge chunk of fans, in my opinion, Gold, or Bink, and maybe you saw the same thing.
I had my shoes on.
I thought people were genuinely kind of upset with the Chiefs for not making a move, especially when they found out that it would have taken a third-round pick to get Breece Hall, according to reports, and that the Chiefs were kind of stuck on the idea of on a fourth-round pick instead. And look, here's the truth. I wanted them to make a move for a defensive lineman. Am I upset that they didn't make a move for a running back? No, I'll live my life on that one. Look, I mean, would I have been fine if they signed one? Sure. It's not like I would have lost my mind or thought this doesn't work in any way, but I didn't need that. I'm a little disappointed they didn't get a defensive lineman, and now they're relying on Gelati and Chris Jones and all these other guys to do it. But I think it goes back to what we were talking about with Nate Taylor yesterday. I don't think, Bink, that they wanted to overused draft capital this year, and probably in the waters they were shopping, they didn't see a defensive lineman they wanted.
Well, they just don't have it. They have a first, a second, a third, 2 fourths, and a fifth. And keep in mind, this can be the future of the team. Seventh is debatable with the Hendershot seventh rounder that went. Whether conditions are met, but DeAndre will probably bring a seventh rounder, so they probably will have that. But there's not a lot for that pick swapping thing that he likes to do in the later rounds. The only guy that I thought it would have been a really good fit was Calais Campbell. For what he can do in the interior or the outside.
Sure.
Clay's 39, I get it, but he's extremely productive. Did have 2 sacks on Dak Monday night. He's got 5 for the year for a 39-year-old that I think could have come in the locker room and been fine and been great for defensive line rotation for the Chiefs. And he's cheap. He's on a 1-year contract with Arizona. Obviously, Arizona would have picked up half that contract with him there. But I think they got false hope by beating the Cowboys. Like, I was rooting for the Cowboys for several reasons in that game. One of them being the circa picks that we do. Which,
not go great this week.
The Cowboys let us down, but here was several reasons. So the Cowboys for that, and the Cowboys to beat Arizona, so the Arizona Cardinals didn't have false hope. And then Jerry Jones could get he could save Gray. Remember he had a trade he said he made? He told Stephen A. made a trade earlier in the day, but wouldn't say who. I think a lot of that was contingent whether they lost or won, depending on what came.
And they got beat up. But look, they essentially traded.
Some of that was, I think some of it was how they finished. And then I think whether you got higher or lower with the draft pick compensation, whether they won or lost, I think it's as simple as that happening with the Cowboys. But, yeah, there were several reasons why. And I wanted Arizona not to have false hope and be able to just fire sale, get rid of Calais Campbell. But they didn't do it.
I just, there's a huge part of me that is annoyed that they didn't do anything on the defensive line. Because, again, is it a good enough unit as it sits right now? No, it's not. It's not. But also, at the same time, do I think or Bink, sorry, I'm going to get your name right eventually. Bink.
Remember, I have shoes on.
Yeah, when we look at this thing later, the real question is, do you think they can still win the Super Bowl as presently constructed? And it's kind of hard to imagine that they can't.
They're still Super Bowl favorites.
They've been 5 of the last Super Bowl. They've been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. They are still the Super Bowl favorites. All of the things that you would think align logically, it's hard for me to be like, well, they can't win it now that they don't have a defensive lineman. So I've only got so much energy to be annoyed by it. Do I think they should have made a move on the defensive line? Yes, I do. Am I shocked that they didn't? Not really. I thought that there was a decent chance they wouldn't be super active. The defensive and the running back one, and that's the one that really gets me. I saw people like, well, they spent a 3rd-round pick on Kadarius Toney, but they won't give a 3rd-round pick for Breece Hall. And when I hear stuff like that, I don't know if you guys hear the same way. Do you want him to redo that Kadarius Toney deal? That deal stunk.
Well,
maybe that's why they don't want to give up a third-round pick for a running back.
Well, Kadarius was a first-round pick, and he was still on a rookie contract. So they were still getting him on a rookie contract. Breece Hall's going to be free and clear. He's in a UFA after the season, so he can get whatever he's going to cash in. That's the biggest difference with Kadarius Toney. Are you buying the fourth-round pick? Because that's the hot thing. Of course,
I think they're trying to make themselves look better. Like,
but here's the deal.
We're not going to get swindled by
that was
anybody.
reported by an SNY reporter. So we 100% buying that. Because the two GMs involved, the teams involved, haven't confirmed that. This is somebody on the outside reporting that is fact. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, I mean, whether it's a fourth or third, because we see this all the time, where a team was maybe offered a third or whatever, it didn't happen, didn't materialize, and it was false. It wasn't true from what the team was doing. So, yes, I know the report is out there that they would only take a third, not a fourth. That's the report. There's a million reports. Whether it's actually real or not, that's debatable. I mean, seriously, when I saw it, okay, you want to believe it, but it was a reporter saying it.
Yeah,
it wasn't
look,
this wasn't from the teams.
I think that there is a part of the Chiefs that would have been willing to part with the pick, knowing that running backs don't cost that much. We lock into our problem, and by giving up a fourth-round pick, that's what we were going to maybe spend on a running back in next year's draft anyway.
It probably will go to a running back.
So it's a wash, right? But a third-round pick, if you ask me right now, if I had the choice and I was the one making the decisions for them and for the Chiefs, I wouldn't have told them to give up a third-round pick for Breece Hall, would you?
No.
Would you have partnered with it?
No, I was fine with what they did. I will say this, though. When the trade deadline first came out, and you saw these national reports that the Chiefs are only interested in D-line or edge.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, well, no doubt. I mean, it's obviously what
Weird.
the Chiefs
Are
did.
you sure?
When Omar Norman-Lott gets hurt for the year, you're like, well, of course, that's what they need. And that's what the reports were, defensive line. So, yeah, I don't think one guy just fixes the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's one reason I went Calais Campbell, because it's a smart guy, a cerebral guy. It's been around the league for a long time. You know, been at the top of his profession for a long time. He's 39 years old.
Maybe he'll just get the old veteran cut later, you know?
He could.
Who's to say he won't just be on the street at some point?
And he's very good. I mean, he's still getting 5 sacks in the year. He's 39. That could be a Terrell Suggs type deal. Remember, same team, Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, it's true.
With Terrell Suggs, so it came off the same
They're
team.
starting Jacoby Brissett the rest of the way.
Running back? I always thought that running back was a need, and because you're just that one play away. And clearly, we've seen it with Pacheco, because that was that one play. And don't forget, Kareem Hunt was banged up 2 weeks ago. Remember, it was Travis Kelce that told Tracy Wolfson on the sideline, oh, he's fine, he's going to be back in there. But if he would take another hit, all of a sudden, you're down to, Clyde, and then Elijah Mitchell would finally have to play, which I will remind people, he actually got more signing bonus and money than Kareem Hunt in the offseason from the Chiefs. They would have to play. Do I think it's a problem? Yes. I will say this. The Chiefs were 9th in the NFL in rushing because it's by committee. And, of course, you have to include the 280 yards from Patrick Mahomes in there. But they were 9th in the NFL. So upper third in the NFL in rushing as a team. That's how they look. They were 9th in the NFL before they played the Bills.
Yeah.
Now they're 12th. Now they sit as 12th in the NFL in rushing. But, again, it's been by committee. And, of course, sprinkling in that 30 or 40 yards a game from Mahomes does make a difference.
Do you guys think that if this were last year and they were going for the 3P, that they do the trade? Because I think they would. If the Jets said, hey, it's going to take a third, I think the Chiefs give them that third.
But again, those are different circumstances, and you don't have to operate with that level of desperation. Here's the truth about it, and this is why we brought up the Trent McDuffie trade stuff yesterday too. Is they're in a financial crunch, which is not surprising for a team who has again been in 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. That's the part where at least I'm a little surprised by. Look, I don't have to go like full defense mode. Brett Veach doesn't need me defending him on local radio. But, like, if you are genuinely mad at this organization in the front office for handling, like, what exactly have they been doing to piss you off? I mean, they're at the top of their game every single year. Or you think that instead of winning 3 of the last 6 Super Bowls, they should have won all 6. Like, there is a limitation for what you can do in a league that does offer limitations to the number of players you can draft, limitations on the number of players you're allowed to pay without hitting a cap number. This isn't baseball. You can't just go pay posting fees for a player coming out of Japan. You can't just go pay for more players out of the Dominican Republic than more money people spend. You can't just spend more money in free agency. It doesn't work that way. You can't circumvent the cap and pay the luxury tax like in the NBA. You have a certain number of picks. You have the same number of picks every year as everyone else. You have the same amount of salary cap is the same as everyone else. There's a limitation of what you can do. If it was a 4th, I would have made the move for Breece Hall. The second they wouldn't, and honestly, I don't get it from the Jets' perspective. I thought they did great in both deals for Quinnen Williams and for Sauce Gardner. I thought they got fantastic return. It's like they were determined to get fantastic return for every single trade they made. And Breece Hall is not going to want to be with him long term.
No, the
You're
bottom
not
line
going to
is,
franchise tag him. So, like, I don't know what his future is.
But you know, Andy Reid's offense is tough to learn. Like, it is tough to learn, just like Spags on defense. It's tough to learn. So to assume someone could come in here,
Running
which
back
at
might
some
be the
point
one, yeah.
he could maybe get it, but pass protection, the routes out of the backfield, there's a lot that goes into it as far as Andy Reid just putting you right in to be a running back for the Chiefs when you haven't gone to training camp with the Chiefs. You've been in a losing organization with the Jets. And the thing is, true. It was Connor Hughes that reported it and his bio is NFL reporter for SNY TV covering the Giants and Jets. Are you 100% saying this is fact? Did Connor Hughes know exactly what the Jets are doing? Did he know exactly they wouldn't budge on a third? Is this coming from a source, or did he actually know the information? I know people are buying this as fact, but the bottom line is this is coming from a reporter, not the teams.
I mean, maybe he has an inside source. I don't know.
Maybe. But who knows?
It felt like, though, based on that report as well as consistently, like when we had Nate on, it seemed like the asking price was that third-round pick. Breece said he wanted out, but the Breece report that he wanted out maybe was too late, where maybe the Chiefs right towards the end of the deadline said, hey, you know what? Your guy wants out.
We'll fire a fourth.
We'll give you a fourth. And the Jets ultimately decide no.
The Jets probably should have done it if it was a fourth and third, whatever. If they're moving on, he's not going to be with them. Let's say he's not going to be with them next year. Then that's done. Then you take the fourth. If he's going to be gone next year anyway, you're not going to pay him, you should have taken the fourth.
The only way he's going to be a Jet is if they franchise tag him. Otherwise, his ass is gone.
Yes. What if they come to him, throw him a bunch of money, and he has a Myles Garrett type epiphany? You know what?
I think
I'll stay here. The money's too good. I'll stay here. Just like what Myles Garrett did with Cleveland. Maybe they pony up and they say, look, we got the 4 first-round picks coming up. Breece, settle down. We're going to build this team. We already got a new coach last year in Glenn. We're going to build this team around, and we want you to stay. We want you to be a part of it. But if he just goes off into the sunset, they're idiots for not at least taking a fourth.
Sure.
And that's on them, not the Chiefs, because they could have got something for a guy walking away. That's why the reason they didn't leads me to believe they do want to pony up or franchise him.
I think they were just trying to win every single trade. And so whether or not they get a deal done with Breece, we'll see. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get to Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider, obviously here on Cody and Gold. But let's talk about Royals baseball. On November 5th, as last night, the Royals announced that they've signed Salvador Perez to a 2-year extension, keeping him under contract through 2027. Andy Rogers of MLB.com reporting that Salvador Perez will get $12.5 million per year during that stretch and will remain a Royal. So we'll talk about this as it relates to the bigger picture stuff in just a minute. 2-year, $25 million extension, $12.5 million a year for a starting catcher in the NFL, still playing at even close to the lever. You know, like in Major League Baseball, playing at the level that he's playing at. I can't really argue with the money. Like a $7 million signing bonus and $25 million, that's fine with me. And I think probably more than anything else at this point is that the Royals, and maybe this will be the last time they ever get a chance to do it, the Royals will most likely in this case, Bink, and I'm assuming you agree with this, mean Salvador Perez is going to stay a Royals entire career and retire a Kansas City Royal. That is now, if it's not locked in stone, it is very likely that is how Salvador Perez's career is going to end. Now, he's coming off a year where his batting average was down, his OPS was down, his slugging percentage was down. Like, not career lows, but certainly a down year for Salvador Perez, especially considering the offensive numbers he had last year. And he had to catch a lot last year, and it seemed like it wore on him. So, like, do I worry that they're going to get regular Salvador Perez at age 36, 37? No, yeah, I fear that. But the opportunity cost of getting Salvador Perez for his entire Major League career, a guy whose number is going to be retired, whose statue is going to be out and wherever they put their new stadium and everything else, I'll take the risk because he's still better than most starting catchers in baseball. Like, even with his depressed numbers of 236, 284, and a 729 OPS, we do realize that other than Cal Raleigh,
except
that's as good as most catchers in Major League Baseball.
He still had 100 ribs. I mean, let's not forget about it. He still had 30 home runs and 100 ribs. I mean, that is production still from Salvador Perez. If he doesn't catch as much, but there's also, can you see him kind of like being a mentor for Carter Jensen? I mean, just having a guy like Salvador Perez around, to mentor the younger catcher. I think that's huge. I think that's huge, just having Salvador Perez still there.
I don't think it hurts.
Does a lot of DHing this year as well, but having Salvador Perez around, he's the number 2 Royal all time, I would say, behind George Brett. I put George Brett and Sal Perez. We're talking a guy that's been a World Series MVP. The guy is a perennial Gold Glover at times. Not this year, but in previous years.
He's not winning the Silver Slugger this year, that's for sure.
No, he's not. Kyle Raleigh's going to get that. But he's won one before. He's won a World Series MVP, and he's been part of 2 movements that have won.
He's going to go down as the second greatest, Royal.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, that first
he's not the
movement
second
with
most
Haas
talented
and
player
Moose
in their
and all
history.
that.
But he's going to go down as the second most important Royals player in their history at the moment.
But he was a big part of the first time. Remember the Locaine, the back and forth with Sal Perez, that whole deal. Perez is a big part of that World Series team. And then he goes to the lean times, so he's been there the good and the bad. And then he was there for the good times again. When Bobby Witt Jr. comes up and Benny and everything, he's part of that. So he's seen both with the Royals, but he goes down as number 2 all time. And honestly, I've said it before, I'd put a statue in the outfield of Salvador Perez, and it would be always pouring water out of a bucket. So kids could put their heads
like a water
it.
feature.
Always. So that bucket is always we're a city of fountains. So Sal Perez has a fountain with his statue out of the
It just reminds me that I saw, it was around Halloween or whatever, maybe he was doing it for trick-or-treaters or parents of trick-or-treaters. Vinny had that gigantic Quick Trip styrofoam cup that they pour on people. He had one in his driveway full of Boulevard beer before, right around, that he sent a photo out of, right around the time of Halloween. So maybe he was just loading up some parents. Look, I see the text from the 816. Signing Salvi was a fan move, not a playoff move. I don't agree with that in the sense that Salvador Perez, this goes to the Travis Kelce things we've said before. Even at his age, I don't think you realize how desperate teams are for a quality starting catcher amongst playoff teams in Major League Baseball. I cannot begin to describe you the number of playoff teams from last year, who would take on a guy like Salvador Perez to be their catcher. Now, I do think, and I think over on Twitch and YouTube, monitor the chats over there as well. I do think, Brent was talking about it over on YouTube, and this is kind of where the thing is. They do have to play Carter Jensen. I'd like to point out that before Freddie Fermin got traded, Bink, he was on pace to catch 78 or 79 games for the Royals, half the time. And they have said that would be their plan for Carter Jensen probably next year. So your wish of, I don't want Salvador Perez behind the plate for 120, 130 games anymore because he hits better when he's fresh, which is true, well, that's all on the table. I think Carter Jensen will be the halftime catcher for this team. Salvador Perez will catch halftime and play DH the rest of the time, and Vinny will be at first. This to me is a good layered approach to your offseason. Do they have other things they have to do? Sure. Still need him to get a right-handed bat somewhere in this lineup, probably in the left field area. We'll talk to the Royals general manager at 12:30. So, there are things to do. But, and I'll ask JJ this. I'm just telling you right now, 15 at least teams would do it. A playoff team from last year started Martin Maldonado for a while.
Yeah.
Who was a billion years old and not a productive big league hitter. And I think that there'd be plenty of playoff teams who'd be interested in a guy like that.
If he had less time behind the plate, obviously the production's going to go up. Only 15 guys in all of Major League Baseball had at least 100 RBI. Only 15.
That's it?
Only
2 were on the Royals?
Only 15, and 2 were on the Kansas City Royals with a bad offense. With a very limited offense.
Yeah, it was.
Which was all pitching staff oriented. A very limited offense. They had 2 guys out of the 15 get 100 RBI. Sal Perez ends up with 100. One of 15 guys. Aaron Judge, who's looked upon, whether Cal Raleigh or Aaron Judge wins MVP, I would go Cal Raleigh, but clearly Aaron Judge could maybe win this. He only had 14 RBI. The MVP, 14 RBI on that offense in New York, more than Sal Perez. So Aaron Judge, 14 ribs more than Salvador Perez. That's not a ton for a guy that had a ton of wear and tear.
And the truth is, how many other middle-of-the-order right-handed bats are you going to get in the free agency market? They're good from the left-hand side. They need a righty who can hit. And so unless you've got dreams of some of the other names I've seen tossed around for, that fans are dreaming of.
He had 12 more ribs than Bobby.
But unless, I saw fans being like, they should sign Bo Bichette. So unless you got some dreams that they're about to give $200 million to Bo Bichette, which I don't personally think is going to happen, then, and play him at third or second or wherever, then I don't think that's going to be a thing that happens. And so unless you are living in somewhere like that, and I'll be honest, I don't mind fan fan moves either sometimes from franchises. It's easy to be like, it's a business and all this stuff. And I don't want the Royals. The Royals did way too many fan moves for way too long there for a while. Salvador Perez's number is going to be retired in Kansas City. And look, his number to be retired whether he plays these last 2 years under this extension or not.
What do you think of Salvador Perez, the mentor / coach? The player / mentor / coach. I mean, that's pretty important still.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this probably means that they're moving on from either Carter Jensen or Blake Mitchell. I don't know why they would
say Blake.
They have the most catching depth in all of Major League Baseball in their minor league system and at their major league club. So, like, someone's going. And if you're thinking, well, I need to get one of these outfielders that I want to hit, well, then at least you got the trade pieces and the comfort to know that Salvador Perez is going to start for your team for a couple more years. And Carter Jensen is going to remain on this roster during that entire duration as well. And we're good there for a while. We can take more time to develop another catcher after that. We got 3 years before that's a problem. And then by that time, Carter Jensen would ideally be the full-time.
Well, somebody text line's asking me about Aaron Judge. Wasn't he gone for 2 months? No, he wasn't. Aaron Judge played 152 games. Salvador Perez played in 155. 3 games difference.
Yeah, there wasn't a huge difference.
3 games. 14 ribs difference between Salvador Perez and probably the MVP.
Look, the RBIs mean something because this team couldn't score runs. And so the idea that they had a chance to move on from there, I do still like it.
You still get the 30 home runs. So.
Yeah, I don't think it discounts. Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll still talk to our Odyssey NFL insider, Ross Tucker, here on Cody and Gold. But, Bink, we got just a couple minutes, and you told me that there's some good news on the Chiefs and that you got a stat that's going to get them in the playoffs, maybe win the division. What do you got for me?
Well, I didn't say that. Well, I don't know. It could get them in there, though, Cody. It just gets better. I brought it up to Alex a few times, obviously. And everybody nationally is writing these stories about Andy Reid's aggressiveness on 4th downs.
Yeah.
Well, how about the defense?
I would have liked him to go for it on 4th and 1 from the 1, but, whatever.
Buffalo was very good on 3rd downs. I'll give them that. 7 of 12 in that game. But they were all of 1 on 4th down. The Chiefs now are at 23.5% for teams getting 1st downs on 4th down, meaning they're turning the ball over in great field position and putting Salvador Perez down.
It's the same as getting a turnover.
Again, 23.5% is team success rate. And they're doing it a lot. Chiefs are the 4th most 4th down attempts by NFL teams against the Chiefs this year. 4th. They were 3rd, but they're 23.5%. If you go Mahomes' whole career, they're at 57% yielding 1st downs on 4th downs when a team goes for it. And usually they're top 5 in teams attempting against the Chiefs. In 2 of Mahomes' years, they were the most times the team went against the Chiefs on 4th down. So this year they're still 4th, but they're only yielding 23.5% instead of 57%.
So you think that could be the swing thing?
I do.
Their ability on 4th down is going to be the swing.
Because everybody's got an analytics guy up in the booth. They say, hey, you should go for it. No. Well, teams are going for it, 4th most in the NFL, but the Chiefs are stopping them on 4th down. They're putting Mahomes back on the field in good field position. That actually bodes well for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if they can keep that up, that's one of the things. I know everybody's talking about the offense and Andy Reid going for it and his aggressiveness. That's fine. But don't forget about what this defense is doing because that's impressive when they're number 1 in the NFL, stopping teams on 4th down when they've seen the 4th most attempts on 4th down.
I think it probably matters more knowing that they're currently 18th in takeaways. And so if you start thinking, at least in takeaways per game, they're 18th. And they're tied with a bunch of teams in that range.
Well, the differential's still +4.
Yeah.
Plus 13 leads it.
But like that, they've not been turning it over, but they're not taking it away. And they've never been a big takeaway defense. So the idea that the turnover on downs counts, in my opinion, is a takeaway. It's the same as picking 100%. Them off in 3rd down and everything else in between. And so that number should keep them alive. I guess I'm surprised. Normally they overcome a either negative turnover differential or kind of a net 0 turnover differential. You would think it would lead to more wins than it has early on, but they're still just slightly off. When we come back, we'll talk to our Odyssey NFL insider, Ross Tucker, where the Chiefs are, what he made of the trade deadline, and how serious he takes the other teams in the NFL.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? It's Chris Jones. You're listening to Cody and Gold. Weekdays 10 to 2 on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Guys, did you know whether you have a college degree or not, your chance of being unemployed is basically the same if not the same, or your chance of being unemployed is basically the same as whether you have it or not. So, like, look, there's another way. Centric, we mention this all the time. Centric Training gives you real hands-on experience, Gold, where you can get started in that career, and you can do it in as little as 4 months.
No gen ed classes. You're not wasting your time. You're not wasting your money. You mentioned 4 months. You're trained in just that period of time, not 4 years. Plus, Centric's going to help you land that job as well. So maybe you're not sure about your future. You're just trying to figure out, maybe you don't like your job right now. You're also looking perhaps to increase your salary.
You want to work while you go to school so you can get that career. You can do both of those things. Like you mentioned at Centric. Talk to our guy, Russ Mondry. Centric.com. Book a call with Russ Mondry. He'll get you all set up on that career in cybersecurity.
Helzberg gifts checked off the list. Now, time for wrapping. Earrings for mom. A gold bracelet to match the rings Danielle wears every day. And for dad, a new watch, because we all know he needs one. All right, this is going to be a good one.
Our favorite things for your favorite people. Shop in store at Helzberg.com for up to 50% off.
FanDuel is putting you in control right from the NBA tip-off, because every day to start the season, you get to choose your reward. Take your shot with a profit boost. Play it cool with a no-sweat bet, or get a little backup with a bet-back token. I really like the profit boost. All of a sudden, a chance to win a little bit more money on a bet you're feeling pretty good about, and obviously you can't go wrong with a no-sweat bet, so you can fire right back if you miss the first bet of the night. So make your pick. You get to choose, get in the game, and play it your way. Head to FanDuel.com/Alex to make your choice. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Chiefs. Everyone develops cataracts naturally as they get older. When your vision is affected by cataracts, you should see my doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein at Silverstein Eye Centers. Dr. Silverstein is a world-renowned cataract surgeon who performs life-changing laser-assisted cataract surgery with premium lens implants to correct your vision up close and far away. Trust my eye doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein, Silverstein Eye Centers, 816-358-3600 to schedule an appointment.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure where to start? Selling a home can feel overwhelming, especially if you're facing foreclosure, a divorce, an inherited property you don't want, or just need to move quickly. But you don't have to figure it out alone. Rex Buys KC is here to help. As a local home buyer, I understand the Kansas City market inside and out. My family and I live right here, so I know the neighborhoods, the trends, and the challenges homeowners face. That's why I take a consultative approach, helping you explore your options and find the best path forward. We buy houses in any condition, no need for repairs, no agent commissions, and no hidden fees. You'll receive a fair cash offer with a closing timeline that works for you. Whether that's in as little as 7 days or at your own pace, just a simple, hassle-free process designed around your needs. If you're ready to talk through your options, call me today at 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com. Let's find the right solution for you. Rex Buys KC. Local, fair, and focused on you.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/play.
For more than 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has given you the opportunity to build your next success. Choose from more than 135 degree and certificate programs in career-relevant fields like business, healthcare, data analytics, cybersecurity, and more. Plus, we offer 100% online and hybrid courses, personalized advising, and lifetime career services. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257.
Brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise.
This is the Duke's Country Song. It's a song about the best mayo. It has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Back in here on Cody and Gold, 96.5 The Fan. Cody Tapp, Jay Binkley with you. Drew Nixon on the other side of the glass will be joined shortly by our Odyssey NFL insider, Ross Tucker, who obviously will talk all things NFL about. I told you later in the show, JJ Piccolo, the Royals general manager and president of baseball ops, will join us as well. So I'll have a chance to talk to him about the move for Salvador Perez and the things you want to know, which is what's the plan for the rest of the offseason, JJ? How are you going to get this team from a playoff team 2 years ago to barely missing out on the playoffs this season, and how do they get themselves back to that position? We'll talk about that with JJ Piccolo in just a little bit. No other photos from Alex, so I'm assuming he is. The first photo he sent, Bink, was someone without shoes on right next to him on the airplane.
Yeah.
Poor guy, obviously in a tough spot right away, but, you know, we managed to get there as well.
Where was he connecting at?
Miami.
So we had to go all the way to Miami with somebody with their shoes off on a plane?
Mm-hmm. Joining us now, though, Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider. Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Ross, my normal co-host Alex is gone. Bink's in Forest. He's heading to the Bahamas. He sent us a photo. Someone took their shoes off before the plane even took off. Yeah. What's your protocol there? Do you say something?
Does the person have socks on?
No. Bare feet.
Bare feet's tough. I don't think you say anything. I just think you have to, unfortunately, grin and bear it. I don't have much of a problem if the person has socks on, but no, I mean, what are you going to say? If they're the type of person that would do that, then they're not, you're not going to change their mind by saying something.
What's the worst experience you've had next to someone with you on a flight? You fly all the time, so I know you've had a few.
Man, there's a lot of ways I could go here.
You got some choices.
I think maybe the worst one might be someone that actually sleeps, but they're like a crazy snorer.
Oh, man, yeah.
So if I'm trying to, get work done or whatever, and I really struggle to sleep on planes, and they're just like making all kinds of noise, that's tough.
He's right. That sucks.
That's really tough. That would be high on the list, I would say. The next thing would be if you're someone that, like, I'm an aisle guy.
Okay. Taller, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you're someone that picks the window, but then has to get up 3 times, that's frustrating. Now, if if it wasn't your desire to be there, if it just worked out that way, I guess that's a little bit different. But I know I'm going to get up multiple times, so I'm always in the aisle because I don't want to disturb anybody else.
I always don't like the seat kicker, the person sitting behind you that has to put their feet up on your seat.
Ooh, well, you know what? I had an experience recently. A lot of these seats now have, like, touch screens almost.
Yeah.
Like some of the United, like, touch screen entertainment. And the person behind me on a recent flight, they must have kept changing the channel or kept going through to see what their options were. But it was like they were just, like, poking me in the back, like over and over again. They didn't need to hit the screen as hard as they were hitting it. So I just kept feeling like bam, 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 in my back. That was not cool.
Like it's the same 7 episodes of The Office, man. Just make a selection. We don't need to, have to spend half the time. We can talk a little NFL.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
Like, you've been through the whole menu 3 times. I think we got it.
Let's talk a little NFL. The Chiefs did not make a move at the trade deadline, and I'll ask you how much better the Colts got here in just a minute. I guess, were you surprised the Chiefs didn't make a move? Is it still a Super Bowl caliber roster without an additional defensive lineman? And I guess, would you have given up a third for Breece Hall, like the reports are suggesting?
I don't think I would have given up a third for Breece Hall. I mean, I don't think that is like what the Chiefs needed or would have been what separated them. I think a D lineman, you can never go wrong getting a defensive lineman.
Sure.
They might say to you, well, we've already been doing that with Noddy and Pennell, and we've already been bringing guys in. I don't know. I mean, what have they done the last few years? You'd have to refresh my memory.
Oh, they've been to the Super Bowl 5 of the last 6 and attended the last 3 Super Bowls, 2 of which they won.
No, I mean at the trade deadline.
D-Hop was the most recent.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins.
I am aware, Cody, of the Chiefs' success. If I was not aware of the Chiefs' success, it would be really questionable of you to have me on the show every
That's
week.
a fair point. No, they've made some minor moves here or there. They gave up a 3rd-round pick for Kadarius Toney a few years back. They gave up a conditional 5th
Ingram
for DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, they've made some occasional moves, Ross, but I would not say they've been the busiest team at the trade deadline.
No, I'd agree. I mean, in fairness to Toney, I don't know if they win that Super Bowl without Kadarius Toney, as crazy as that is to say.
In retrospect? But it's still the same. Like, we saw fans say, we gave a 3rd for Toney, but why not give up 1 for Hall? I'm like, yeah, but if you went back in time, you wouldn't be, like, chomping at the bit to give up a 3rd for Toney, who barely played for you.
And the one thing, too, is Toney was still on a rookie contract. Breece Hall will be a UFA. Ross, you're a smart guy. You played in this league a long time. How tough is that for a guy to come over to the trade deadline? I mean, what are the easiest positions a guy can be traded for, and you put him right in there? Because Breece Hall with the offense, obviously Andy Reid's offense, a tough offense to get. You can't just literally throw somebody right in there. It's going to understand the playbook. It's a big reason why they like Kareem Hunt, because he's been here before and was able to come here. It's a big reason why the Chiefs like guys that have played here before, because they understand the playbook. But how tough is that? Like defensive line or whatever, how tough is that coming in, like at the trade line and just getting it right away?
It's a really good question. I know multiple times in my career, one time I got released by Washington, picked up the next day off waivers by the Cowboys, and I suited up for the Cowboys on Sunday. And I was ready to go. Like, I knew the game plan. I knew the playbook. What it really is kind of the nuances. So for an offensive lineman, it's how do they want to do things? And you've never worked really very much at all with the guys on either side of you. For a skill guy, it's, well, okay, I know what the playbook says, but how does Mahomes want me to run that route? What are the subtleties that Mahomes is looking for? Because contrary to popular belief, like every guy is a little bit different in the way they go about things. So if you can't just blanketly say, okay, we're going to do this and know exactly what he's going to do. Does he look over the left shoulder, the right shoulder? How does he like the ball? Where do you want to throw it to him? You can still get it done. It's just not necessarily the level of precision that you'd like.
When you look at what the Colts are doing so far, how much better do you think they are with Sauce Gardner? I thought they overpaid, but at the same time, I guess, maybe they're looking at this as, and I guess this is how I thought, maybe they're looking at this as the Bills are a little bit worse than normal, the Bengals are worse than normal, the Ravens are worse than normal, the Chiefs are worse than normal. Maybe they're just looking at this as a massive opportunity cost year where if they've got one of the better rosters anyway, bringing in a guy like Sauce Gardner is worth it.
So I think there's a couple layers to it, right? Number one, he just signed that extension. So they have, they saved some money because they didn't have to give him, the signing bonus that he got from the Jets, even though it wasn't like a massive one. He just got a new contract, which puts them in a good position. He's only 24 years old, and I think they look at him like, he's two-time first-team All-Pro, and he's under contract now through 2030. So I think they look at it like, all right, we got a guy that we think is a premier player at a really important position, locked up through 2030, and, it's actually the numbers are reasonable for a player of that ilk. So now they don't have to worry about it like, they probably were going to draft the corner in the first round one of the next couple of years. Now they don't have to.
Sure.
Because they have Gardner under contract for the long haul. And those dollar amounts for other guys you would get are just going to go up, whereas Sauce Gardner's kind of locked in. And I do think that there's the part about going for it this year. They do have Daniel Jones only, quote unquote, only making $14 million or whatever it is. So I think that they look at it like, hey, this is a golden opportunity for us to try to make a run at it. And I think not just this year, but over the next few years, having a guy like Gardner.
Ross, when you look at the AFC and you think of these 7-2 teams, like the Patriots, like the Colts, and then the Denver Broncos, who do remind me of the Chiefs a little bit. They just find a way to win. But the bottom line is they're finding a way to win, whether it's, the fourth quarter and 33 points or coming back on Houston at the end. But bottom line is they're winning games. Who are you buying more, the Patriots, the Colts, or the Broncos of these 7-2 teams?
It's a great question. I think I'm still going to say the Colts. I think I'll say the Colts because they've just been so good, especially on offense. Such a machine. And even though they lost the Steelers on Sunday, I think recency bias would make you say, okay, no, it's the Patriots or it's the Broncos. I'm not going to do that. The Colts had 6 turnovers, which they haven't really done this year at all, and they still only lost by a touchdown. So to me, that would lend itself to, okay, they still are the best team. If you look at net point differential, that would suggest that as well. Patriots are impressive, but I don't know. They still feel like a year away to me. Broncos are now, you think about the Texans game or the Giants game, they're more the team, I think, that's kind of figuring out ways to win late. They have a good defense, and Bo Nix looks like a clutch performer. But I would say the Colts are the ones that I think are the biggest threat to maybe win the AFC.
Is it, and I guess you've got a sharper football mind probably than me, Ross. I can't figure out on Bo Nix whether I like him or not, because when I watch him play 3.5 quarters out of the game, I'm like, well, that guy is not very good. And then I watch him in the final 8 minutes of the game or 15 minutes of the game when they desperately need some points, and it looks like he can move the ball. I guess just where are you individually on Bo Nix? And if you are a believer in him, talk me into why what I'm seeing a huge chunk of the game shouldn't concern me.
So, yeah, I think I'm a believer in him because he plays his best when it matters the most.
Yeah.
Late in games. And I think that quarterbacks either have that or they don't. So I think that's a real positive for him. The flip side, I would say, is, do I think he is Josh Allen or Mahomes or one of these other guys, Herbert even? No. And I don't think he ever will be. The question is whether or not, or Lamar, obviously, is he good enough? And I think we're going to find that out. I think he can continue to get better. But it's also like, so what? It's really hard to find one of those guys. If you have a quarterback that you can win with, that's great. Be happy about that and realize you can win a bunch of games and maybe do damage in the playoffs, as opposed to saying, well, Bo Nix isn't Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Not many guys are.
Ross, last question, then once you get out of here, college football playoff rankings came out. You got any of the teams in the field this weekend?
What do you mean in the field?
Well, which game are you on Saturday? Are you covering into the college football playoff squads?
No, I actually don't have a college game this weekend.
Oh, you're free.
I just have Packers, Eagles Monday night for Westwood One Radio. So no NFL or college. I doubled up last week for CBS. This week I have nothing for CBS, and just the Westwood One Monday night with Kevin Harlan, Packers, Eagles at Lambeau. Should be fine. I don't think I made it to Lambeau last year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Ross, we'll talk to you again next week, and thanks so much for the time.
Sounds great. See you guys.
See you.
Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL Insider. Insider calls brought to you by Nationwide for your insurance and financial needs. Nationwide is on your side. Yeah, no, it's like with Bo Nix, Bink, and I know we'll talk about them coming up in about 30 minutes. It's just like it's so hard to shake the first three quarters when he looks incredibly mediocre. I get that he's a clutch time player, and so we'll talk more about that in a minute, but yeah, there is a part of me. But I do want to get to a little bit of college football. The college football playoff rankings were out yesterday. We'll talk more about the teams in the field coming up in the noon hour. But I think something's happening here, and you guys are the college football experts, so Andy, tell me if I'm crazy or not. I actually want to defend the Big 12 here for a minute, because what I think is happening here is that if this were the SEC and to some extent the Big 10, they would call the Big 12 and the college football playoff rankings, they would be like, one of the deepest conferences in college football. Look at the parity, toe-to-toe. Anybody can win any week. That's how tough the SEC is. Anybody can beat anybody. As it sits right now, the Big 12 has the second best winning percentage against opposing Power 4 conferences and Notre Dame in all of college football. And instead, they just talk about it, weak league. Just some loser is going to be at the top of it. And they put them further down the college football rankings. I actually think they're being disrespected as a conference a little bit. And the Big 12's not getting the credit it deserves this year as being an incredibly deep and talented conference with a lot of really good teams.
No, they aren't, but the SEC, 6 of the top 12 teams through the ranking were SEC teams. But I'll say this as far as respect for the Big 12. Because honestly, it's the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big 12. A lot of respect for them, much more than the ACC. 3 Big 12 teams are actually ranked higher than the first ACC team.
The ACC stinks. They got terrible record against the other Power 4.
But the Big 12 still has 3 before that. Now, the Big 10, obviously the top 2 teams in the country are Big 10. Oregon sitting there at 9th. And so 3 teams in the top 12 as far as the Big 10 is concerned.
Like, it's going to be still somehow hard for the Big 12 to get 2 in some years. Like, this year, they're going to be like, I don't know, we're going to put 2 in. You'd be like, why? It's an incredibly deep conference with super parity at the top of it.
Well, next week's going to be bad because one Big 12 team's going to be gone, like Texas Tech or BYU's going to be gone.
And that's what I'm saying. If this were an SEC teams, we wouldn't be talking about it this way. We'd just be saying, like, instead, we're already trying to bend over backwards, figuring out ways to get a 2-loss Texas team in, or what will eventually be, I think, a 3-loss Texas team in. And the Big 12 is going to have a hard time with what? 2-loss teams? Like, I think it's an unfair standard. And look, I know Oklahoma and Utah both have 2 losses, so I'm not saying that they deserve necessarily to be there, at least at the moment. But Texas Tech only has 1 loss right now. As you mentioned, BYU has no losses. And if these, again, were SEC or Big Ten schools, Drew, I think they'd be talked about differently.
No, I think that in terms of like the depth conversation, because if we're talking just strictly depth, we're not talking about the best teams, we're not talking about any of that, then I think the Big 12 is second probably to the SEC in terms of, You can go 1 through 10, make a case that any of those teams can beat whoever on any given Saturday. It feels like that's the case with the Big 12. The problem is, I think, when we'll see how this weekend goes, because BYU is number 7, Texas Tech is number 8. They did include both of them in the top 10. I don't see them getting 2 teams in, but I think also we have to be wise in looking back to last season. The ACC got 2 schools in Clemson and SMU. Why can't the Big 12 do that? Similar thing this year where, to your point, Cody, it feels like the conference is deeper. They've got 2 teams that are inside of the top 10. And I do think it's almost weird. If you want to, let's just say for the Big 12's sake, you want 2 teams in the playoff. Let's say,
they deserve 2 teams in the playoff. It's a very good conference.
How do we get that to happen? So Texas Tech is 8-1, BYU is 8-0. I think what happens is Texas Tech, I almost don't. If BYU beats Texas Tech, let's say BYU goes undefeated, and then Tech and BYU play again in the Big 12 title game, but Texas Tech wins. That's your case to get 2 teams in, I think, from the Big 12. Where if BYU beats Texas Tech and then Texas Tech ends up with 3 losses after the conference title game, they're not making it in even with 3 losses. If they go 9-3, they're not in. But I do think there is a case that if BYU goes undefeated and then Tech in the rematch in the Big 12 title game beats BYU, you would have to include, I think, both Texas Tech and BYU, similar to what happened last year with the ACC, where Clemson beat SMU and both of them made it into the playoff.
It shouldn't take the miracle situation, though. They would rather put a 3-loss Texas team in than a 2-loss Texas Tech team. And I'm telling you, the Big 12's been deep.
Texas is the first team out. I'll say this, though. If Tech does beat BYU in a close game, that would be BYU's only loss. They could actually stay in it. I don't know if you have them completely out of it.
BYU would be in it, Bink, but I'm saying if Tech beats BYU and then Tech beats them again in the Big 12 title game, does BYU just get kicked out because they lost twice?
Well, the good news for Tech is Baron Morton's back. Like they're starting because the committee does look at that. Is their starting quarterback playing or not? We dealt with this with Florida State a few years ago, but the committee is valuing that, and their starter is back for Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but Texas just sitting there waiting. Texas, Oklahoma. Just sitting there on the edge waiting.
This is always the same problem. Like the text line saying essentially what I think the national narrative, which I don't agree with. It's parody a bunch of average football teams in the Big 12, just like when they were everyone else. They have the second best record in college football against teams outside their conference.
Yes.
Against the SEC, against the ACC, against Notre Dame.
Yes.
Only the SEC wins more outside their conference. Maybe the Big 10's just full of a bunch of average-ass teams all just bumping their heads up against each other. Why does the Big 12 always get that reputation?
I know
some years it's true. I just don't think this year it is.
They truly value quarterbacks. And you look at the top 5, it's all, obviously Ohio State with Julian Sayin, Indiana with Fernando Mendoza, Marcel Reed at A&M, Ty Simpson at Alabama, Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. Okay, that's great. But then Ole Miss, a backup quarterback in Trinidad Chambliss, even though he's playing better than the starter Austin Simmons. And then Bear for BYU is a true freshman. So I think that does weigh on their mind a little bit. Can a true freshman really get the job done? And then with Morton coming back for Texas Tech, I think that hurts them. But then there's Dante Moore that's a Heisman contender well for Oregon.
Real quick before we go to break, Cody, I think the top 25 at least has been treated as if the Big 10 and Big 12 are kind of equal because obviously we have the 2 top dogs, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon's in there. Yeah. Let's throw BYU and Texas Tech in the conversation. After that, last week, Houston and Cincy were both inside the top 25. This week, they're not because they both lost. And instead, you get other schools that are inside of the top 25 from the Big 10 towards the bottom of the barrel, like the Iowas or the USCs, the Michigan, the Washington school, obviously, Washington being new to the top 25 in the AP and in the CFP. It feels like, I think the committee, we'll see how they go with the committee, but the AP, at least from the standpoint of how they're viewing the conferences, I think they view the Big 12 and Big 10 relatively evenly, but the SEC is a more elite conference outside of just the record, because I think the record point you bring up is why the Big 12 has been better than the Big 10 this year. But from the standpoint of elite teams, the SEC obviously has way more, and then the Big 10, they have Indiana and Ohio State. You could say, well, if BYU and Texas Tech fared against those 2 schools are played, how would things go? And, maybe you can make a case that Tech or BYU can beat Indiana, but I don't think anybody's beating Ohio State right now. I think that's, in terms of the eliteness of the conference, I think that's where the Big 12 never is going to get the nod because with them losing Texas and Oklahoma, there's more parity and the league is deeper, But the problem is they don't have that top-tier, big-brand school anymore that would help give some more storylines, I think, the Big 12's way. But
That's
we'll have
all
to see how the playoff
branding.
goes.
It's always branding in
Of course,
college football.
Of course.
If it were Texas and Oklahoma doing what BYU and Tech are, they would not be ranked 6th and 7th in the college football playoff.
But Tech is
They'd be
getting
ranked
respect.
3rd and 4th ahead of all of the one-loss SEC schools.
But Tech is getting respect because of the money they're spending.
I'm glad that Tech and BYU both are inside the top 10, because I thought one of them would be outside. But I'm glad the CFP put them both in. We'll have to see how
The
that
Big
changes.
12 needs Tech to win this game. Give BYU the one loss. Keep BYU or Texas Tech sitting there with just the one.
When we come back, one national media member is making a comparison I don't think makes a ton of sense. And Bink is going to tell us the biggest reason why he actually fears Denver. We'll talk about it next.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Bobby Witt Jr., and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
You're wanting to spend time outside either next spring when you're dreaming of what next year's projects will look like, and you can get on the schedule early, or for the rest of this year, and you can do it over at All Weather Decks. The right deck at the right price. Look at some of the work that they've done and get on that schedule so you can feel comfortable knowing what your dream outdoor space can look like. Whether it be a wood deck, composite deck, the screened-in porch that we have at our house, or even you're thinking you want the fire pit for this time of year, it's great. Trust me, it's a great time to be able to spend more time outside, away from screens for a little bit, or even watching football out there this time of year. All of those things are within your reach, and you can schedule a free estimate over at All Weather Decks. Give them a call, 913-206-1974. Check them out at allweatherdecks.net and see for yourself what your dream deck can look like. One more time, that's allweatherdecks.net.
The Chiefs have been scoring a ton of points lately, and that means I'm saving a ton of money at Hy-Vee. And now I have even more reason to cheer on the Chiefs, because I score big fuel savings when I shop Hy-Vee the day after any Chiefs game. Win or lose, I'll earn a fuel saver discount equal to the Chiefs score based on the amount I spend. If the Chiefs score 35 points, I save 35 cents a gallon when I spend $35 on groceries. So the more we score, the more I save, only for my friends at Hy-Vee.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Time for Hy-Vee's holiday baking sale. Make your list and check it twice. Time to stock up on the sweetest deals of the year, like Hy-Vee sugar, $1.99, brown sugar, $1.48, Hy-Vee butter, $2.49, peanut butter, $1.88, and don't forget the Hy-Vee pumpkin pie filling, just 88 cents. Jump in your sleigh and dash away this Friday through Sunday at Hy-Vee.
FanDuel is putting you in control right from NBA tip-off, because every day to start the season, you get to choose your reward. Take your shot with the Profit Boost token. You can play it cool with the no-sweat bet, or you can get a little backup with the Bet Back token. So what I like to do is I like to pick 3 players that I think are going to score at least 20 points. It gives you something to cheer for. It gives you something to root for. So you can put a little bit of extra sauce on it with the Profit Boot token, or you can just play it easy. You can play it relaxed with that no sweat bet. Whatever your pick is, whatever your strategy is, get into the game and play it your way. Head to FanDuel.com/KFNZ to make it your choice. FanDuel is an official sportsbook of the NBA and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expirations, league requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get out with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
Men, if the long lines to the bathroom have been holding you back from attending sporting events and you're waking up in the middle of the night dealing with frequent urination, it could be an enlarged prostate. Jeff Montgomery here to talk about the minimally invasive procedure I had that made a big difference. I went to Dr. Brown at Miva Medical, the leader in minimally invasive treatments in Kansas City. The procedure was quick and easy, and I'm very happy with the result. Don't put up with being uncomfortable. Contact Miva Medical. That's MIVA-medical.com.
Does this sound like you? Every step or reach is a reminder of what hurts, a reminder of what you can't do. But I've got good news for you. Relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from a scalpel. What if it could come from you? At QC Kinetics, we tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve the pain at its source. No surgery, no pain pills, no long recovery. Just your body remembering how to feel alive again. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment, and for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. So now's the perfect time to book your free consultation with Saturday appointments to fit your schedule. Call QC Kinetics today, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. Off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone, QC Kinetics.
House stealing. It's a nightmare that's real. It's the FBI's term for thieves stealing your home's title and draining your equity. Just one fake document filed with a recorder, and scammers can own your home on paper, drain your equity, and do it all without you even knowing. Imagine waking up to a foreclosure or eviction notice. Listen to former title thief Matt Cox.
What people don't realize is the ease in which this crime can happen. I can take the deed to your house and I can transfer that deed into my name. It's a great crime, and it's happening all the time.
So how can you stop the nightmare and protect yourself? Find out if you're already a victim now at HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code RADIO and get a 30-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, a title scan, and access to a title specialist, a $250 value. Don't wait. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now, promo code RADIO.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/play.
For more than 75 years, University of Maryland Global Campus has given you the opportunity to build your next success. Choose from more than 135 degree and certificate programs in career-relevant fields like business, healthcare, data analytics, cybersecurity, and more. Plus, we offer 100% online and hybrid courses, personalized advising, and lifetime career services. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on Kansas City's FM sports station. 96.5 The Fan, KFMZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
It's actually reminded. Cody Tapp, Jay Binkley with you. Alex Gold out on his way to the Bahamas. Drew Nixon on the other side of the glass. We were talking college football. Did you guys see that video of Nick Saban? Miss Terry told him to set up?
Yes.
Oh, with the cake?
I have never been more sure in my life that he's never coaching another snap. When he was sitting in his little old man recliner
with
that little blankie over his legs, I was like, that man's never coaching another day.
He's got the cash consultant for Bama. Still has an office
life.
over there. Yeah, still has an
You
office
are
at
right.
Alabama.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's done. I think he's enjoying this.
I mean, he gets
this
to golf.
life
He
now,
gets to
just
golf
being-
every day. He gets to chill. He gets to go do college game day and hang out with Pat McAfee and just do the
Drive his boat around all the time.
Just something about that photo was like,
gets to
that
chill.
man's never coaching another day in his life. He got the full old man mode on. He was in his little recliner, his blanket, didn't even want to sit up for the damn cake. He was just like, no way.
I don't think people
No way,
realize
never
that
coaching another day.
He would always bring recruits in, and they do karaoke, like in his living room. That's what he did with recruits that came
You
to
know what?
Alabama.
If
They
it
liked
worked.
and he'd take them tubing. I mean, it did work.
It worked one way or the other. He got the thing to play, so who cares?
And he owns like 6 Mercedes-Benz dealerships, so I think he's doing fine.
Yeah, no, Nick Saban never needed the money. No, he certainly doesn't.
He's
need
a
it
good
now.
name, image, and likeness guy for Alabama.
I
when the
told-
former coach who has an office at Alabama owns 6 Benz dealerships.
I'm going to get us sidetracked, I know, but I asked Drew this question, so I'll ask you this too. We were talking about Nick Saban because Drew was talking about the head coaching openings, and was it Kennesaw State? Or what's
Kent State.
Kent State.
No, that's where Nick
Saban's
Saban
alma
played.
mater.
He was a DB there. He played
Said they
college football.
haven't won a football game in 2 years. I said,
Up until this year.
If Nick Saban took the job, would they be in a bowl game year one?
Probably.
I said it depends. If he took over August 1st, I think it would be tough. But if he took over January 1st before the portal opens, they would win the conference. They would win the conference because
he's not a major fan of paying players. Oh, by the way, he has 7 dealerships, not 6. My bad.
Oh, yeah, get it right, Bink. Come on,
bad.
fact check.
That's perfect name, image, and likeness guy, right?
We'll talk about Denver for the first time. They've got him obviously in a week and a half. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, plus 10 minutes away from the trash of the day. But Bill Simmons had this to say about Patrick Mahomes after their 5-4 start. I'm going to play it first because there's a big chunk of this that I just genuinely do not understand. Okay, so first off, for a million reasons, people stopped bringing up Mahomes versus Brady because he lost to him in the Super Bowl and didn't complete the three-peat. We said we could maybe reignite the conversation if they completed the three-peat. This is the most thin-skinned, disingenuous, protect Tom Brady stuff for no reason. First off, I want to point out that when he said he did not finish worse than 11 wins after the year of, what was it? He said 2012 or whatever it was. He was 10 years into his career. Mahomes isn't even 10 years in. So why are you bringing up that he never won less than 11 games after year 10 in his NFL career? Mahomes isn't there yet. So you just glaze over the 9-7 season, which I would like to point out was in, I think, Brady's second full year second full year. As an NFL starter, they missed it. Then they won the next 2 Super Bowls. Then they went 10-6. Then they won 11 games, 10 games, all of these. Inside, he went 10-6 and lost in the wild card round in 2009. They went 10-6 and lost in the divisional round in 2005. What are we bringing up here? Patrick Mahomes has been in the AFC title game every single year he has been the starter. Why are you trying to comp these right now? Why are you even bringing this up? He's trying to say Mahomes isn't winning enough. Also, the season isn't complete. Does anyone think Mahomes won't get to 10 or 11 wins this year? Even with the way they're playing right now, do you think they're not getting to 10 or 11?
No, I do, but also, you ever seen a comparison between Mahomes and Brady at 30 years old?
Oh, yeah, the stats are
except for Super Bowls, the exact same. But here's the thing. We forget 2018, got to the AFC title game. Tom Brady wins the coin flip, scores a touchdown. Mahomes didn't see the field, right? That's before the new rules were put in, because the rules weren't put in until it happened to Buffalo, where Josh Allen didn't get to touch the ball in overtime. That's when the rules were changed, not when Mahomes got beat by Brady. And people, forget this. Listen, Brady always had a better defense than Mahomes did, except for the last couple of years. When Spags got here, it did change, and they got much better. But Brady,
and then they won a bunch of Super Bowls when they had a good defense.
Brady won Super Bowls because of that defense early on with the Patriots. And again, Xavier Worthy gets hurt on the 3rd play of the first game. Misses up until game 4 against the Ravens this year, okay? Rashee Rice didn't play 6 games in. And then last year, Mahomes loses Pacheco and his number 1 and number 2 receiver early in the season. Didn't even have Hollywood Brown at all. He loses Rashee Rice in game 4. These are things you have to factor in. All I care about, listen, they're both great quarterbacks. We know that. I think there's really only one stat that matters. Brady is the only guy in the history of the National Football League with more playoff wins than Mahomes.
Yep.
Mahomes has 17.
Already. He's number
Mahomes
2.
Is
second. It's crazy.
He was second before he turned 30 years old.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, that's more than Manning. Manning's 14 playoff wins, something like that. Joe Montana had 16, and Mahomes passed him this year. That's the stat that never gets talked about. Yeah, sometimes they bring up the fact that he's been in the AFC title game every single year of his career. But look at what he's played with that. And I get it. There was times that Brady didn't have all that talent. And when he did, with Randy Moss, they went undefeated during the regular season, but they lost to Spags in the Super Bowl. And that's a big reason why Spags is here. So he had guys like that and welcome, but didn't win rings with them. He won them with Deion Branch and the Troy Browns and stuff like that. So I'll give him credit for that. But really the only thing that matters is it's Brady and Mahomes. That's it for most playoff wins. That's the most important thing, what you do in the postseason. So, yeah, if you want to bring up that, yeah, Brady's got double. He's got 35 postseason wins if you want to go that stat. Okay, but use the whole career and say Mahomes is only 30 years old. And guess what? Quarterbacks don't really hit their prime until they're 30 years old and have the best luck. And Brady, he was great throughout his 30s and got really good at the end of 30s and really good in his 40s, which Mahomes hasn't hit yet.
Well, he was more successful in his 40s than he was in his 30s, which is crazy. Yardage, touchdowns, like he was more productive in his 40s than he was in at least a decent chunk
If you want to compare
30s.
the two, I mean, it's Mahomes over Brady with like almost every stat.
Yeah, to this stage, if we just erased everything and said, through your age 30 season, who has been the more successful player? Mahomes has more MVPs, same number of Super Bowls, same number of Super Bowl MVPs in every stat. More touchdowns, more yards, everything.
And here's the other stat they don't
Tom
say.
Brady gets the crown.
Mahomes has lost, like, what, 5 games where he lost the game more than a touchdown, 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Look at Tom Brady's numbers at 30 years old. They were bombed a lot. Remember 2014? Arrowhead Stadium, they lose 41-14. That was the year they won the Super Bowl, right? That's when they said Brady's done. And that was on the Cincinnati Belichick quote after the game. It was the night before the wild card game in 2014. But they were destroyed. They got beat by well over a touchdown next point. I remember Detroit beat them one year, beat them like a drum in game 2 by 3 touchdowns or whatever. They came back and won the Super Bowl. But the bottom line is those numbers aren't put in there. Mahomes always has them ready. And again, against Buffalo on the road, Buffalo played an A-level game. The Chiefs were absolutely terrible in that Buffalo Bills game, but yet had a chance because of Mahomes. They had a chance at the end of the game at least to tie it. Mahomes always keeps his team in there. They're always in the discussion towards the end of the game. That's the biggest difference to me.
It is. The other part is like taking the shot saying that they changed the rules for the Chiefs, which is just historically.
They actually, the real deal is, the real fact is they changed the rule for the Bills.
Multiple times.
And
Chiefs
then
asked for a rule change. They didn't get.
I know the
Bills
Eagles
eventually
got
did.
it changed for the regular season and everything. That was the Eagles that got that. But the actual postseason rule change for overtime came when the Buffalo Bills didn't get Josh Allen the ball at the end. The Chiefs tried it after they didn't get the ball, and it was Tom Brady goes down and scores a touchdown. Didn't pass in the NFL until it happened to little Joshy, who fakes injuries on the field, or not injuries, but fakes getting hit.
Flops, you know,
he flops like crazy. But they
he's
changed.
a flopper. Yeah, he's a little like LeBron.
Add that to the
way.
list of reasons why Josh Allen is lower on my list. But it's interesting.
And
From like
Buffalo didn't want to hear it either. Their penalties are just like the Chiefs. Chiefs are right there with the Buffalo Bills. Matter of fact, as far as penalties in the NFL, the Chiefs still a top 10 team in penalties in the NFL, which is insane. Even with the bye week, right now the Chiefs sit number 13, so they're top half in the NFL in penalties, 8th in penalty yards, and no team has been penalized for more yards except for the Saints since Patrick Mahomes has been the starter.
People point out that
back in 2018. That from Josh DeBoe with the AP that put that out, but no team has had more penalty yards. But I remind people, Buffalo gets the calls all the time, and people will eventually start seeing that with Josh Allen's constant flopping.
From an outsider perspective, it is interesting how similar both Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes' careers are from the standpoint of, like somebody mentioned, Tom Brady's division was awful. Patrick Mahomes to this point, up until like this year or last year, the division hasn't been
Not
the hardest
gangbusters,
division.
no.
No, yeah, exactly. So I think it is interesting how I think there's a lot of things that are very similar in terms of great coach, obviously good playoff runs. Division isn't necessarily the greatest. There are some differences though, where like Bink, you bring up Patrick Mahomes never being in a round and never not getting to the AFC title game. Obviously, Brady didn't do that, so you would think Mahomes is favored there. And then you look at the wins and the Super Bowl titles. Well, obviously Brady's favored a little bit there, but it feels like it all even now like simmers down to what you prefer in terms of the greatest of all time, whether it's individual wins, whether it's stats, whether it's
postseason to me.
Just Super Bowls point blank in period. Like there are a lot of similarities, even though they're obviously two different players playing at different times with the 7 or 8 seasons intermixed. It feels like they're very similar career paths in terms of how these things have all kind of played out.
To Bing's point, I do think that like for the longest time, the one thing that Mahomes had over Brady is he was playing with like the 15th ranked defense the entire time. He was still doing AFC Championship game.
That's
and
another
Super Bowl
argument
stuff.
for him. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Tom Brady's defenses were ranked in the top 10. A lot.
The 2 years where Mahomes threw for over 5,000 yards, he had the 26th and the 16th ranked scoring defense.
Yeah.
So bottom half as far as the scoring defense. In 2 years, he put up 5,000 yards. That's why I said last year people talking about his numbers. I said, don't look at the numbers. Because if your defense is playing well, you're not going to throw over 5,000 yards.
Well, that's why to me,
you're not.
That's why to me, like I think Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady is already. Like if we're talking greatest of all time, Patrick Mahomes is a greater quarterback to me than Tom Brady because of some of the stuff that we've talked about, but also a lot of it is the eye test for me. Like Patrick Mahomes is just a better thrower of the foot. Like Tom Brady can't do some of the things that Patrick Mahomes does, and as a result, not only is he a better player for that reason, but along the other lines of all the other reasons in the playoffs that he's been great is why I think it's a lot closer maybe than what other people may think, particularly in Boston.
Coming up in 5 minutes, we'll get to the trash of the day. But Binkley, you said, I am leery of Denver. Can you give me a reason why?
Yeah, I'm leery of Denver and what they're doing. And I know that people keep talking about, and especially in Denver, they're really glossing over what the Broncos offense is and they're concerned. But I'm looking at last year's Chiefs team. A team that won close games. And this is what Denver's doing. Coming back in the fourth quarter, 33 points. And then, of course, the Houston Texans. All right, Cody, look at these stats. All right, this 2025 Broncos compared to the 2024 Chiefs that won the division by 4 games. A division, the only division in the AFC that had 3 playoff teams, right? And they go to the Super Bowl. Last year, total yards, the Chiefs were 17th on offense. 17th. This year, the Denver Broncos are 13th. Passing offense, Denver Broncos are 17th this year. Chiefs are 14th. Rushing offense, Denver Broncos are 7th. The Chiefs are 16th. The 2024 Chiefs 16th.
Okay.
Points per game, the Broncos are 14th offensively in points per game. Last year, the Chiefs were 15th. 15th for 2 straight years. I'm just saying it's eerily similar, and the Broncos much better at running than the Chiefs. But the 2024 Chiefs numbers are very, very close to where the Denver Broncos are.
I have to pretend like Bo Nix isn't their quarterback.
But the bottom line is, when you look at the Raiders, they find a way to lose at the end, like they did the Jags. Bad teams find a way to lose. And the part that scares me about the Broncos is they're finding ways to win. And you can go back to that Colts game that they had where they probably should have won that game. You remember that game, the field goal at the end, and they called, jumping off a player or whatever. Denver got screwed in that game. And I'm glad they lost the game, to be honest with you. But granted, they should have won it. They should have just have one loss on the year. I'm just saying, for everybody worried about their offense, their defense is still a very good defense. They still lead the NFL in sacks by a ton. So they still get after the quarterback. I'm just saying their offense is very similar to the 2024 Chiefs, the 2025 Broncos, and that defense is very good. I think the thing that concerns me more is they just find a way to win. They're not finding a way to lose games at the end. They're finding a game in the fourth quarter. Like you said, Bo Nix, a different quarterback in the fourth quarter than the first 3. But they're winning those games. And again, in 10 years, you're not cared. You win or you lose. Just like last year, blocked field goal at the end against the Broncos with the Chiefs, the doink in Carolina. The Chiefs were finding ways to win. But, people say, it's a good teams find a way to win. Well, the Broncos are finding that way to win. And that's what scares me.
I will say, though, how many impressive wins do they have? Losses. Do they have one good win? Because it's not Tennessee. It's not Cincinnati. At Philly, that's a good win. It's not the Giants or Jets or Dallas. Maybe I could argue Houston. Road game. They're salty.
Still number one scoring
toughest defense in the NFL. So, maybe I give them 2.
Well, I asked Ross Tucker this question. I'll ask you. Patriots are 7-2. Colts are 7-2. Broncos are 7-2. All right, we talked about the Broncos, how they come back and find a way. I'll say this about the Colts.
Colts make me the most scared of those 3.
I'll say this about Daniel Jones and the Colts. All right, their schedule gets tougher now. And they're 0-1 now when the schedule got tougher. They lose to Pittsburgh. And I get it. All the Colts truthers out there talking about the Colts and the great players and Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones and what he's doing. I will say this. Pittsburgh had the number 32 defense against the pass. They still are. Daniel Jones put up 352 yards. But that's the worst pass defense in the NFL,
crazy.
Pittsburgh.
The
But here's the thing.
Steelers have a bad defense.
But Daniel Jones had 5 turnovers. Could have been 6. He fumbled 3 times, lost 2 of them, threw 3 interceptions. So it wasn't good. Now, his wins this year, he's got 2 against the Titans. Cody, you could have 2 wins against the Titans.
I don't know if me, but we get close.
He beat the Raiders. We know how bad they are. He beat the Dolphins. They suck. And he beat the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, it's not like it's not pretend that Daniel Jones is going out lighting up the world. Yeah, they go and spend 2 draft picks on Sauce Gardner. That's fine. That means you believe in Daniel Jones. To me, he might end up being a great quarterback. He might. I'm not saying he's not going to be, but I'm saying you wait and see before you totally invest in it. Can you see Daniel Jones being good next year, the year after? We're looking, well, they got Daniel Jones. They're going to be fine. We look at the Bengals and Burrow, if he's starting that. We look at Lamar Jackson's health and the Ravens being good. And certainly look at the Chiefs because of Mahomes. Is Daniel Jones in that category? I'm in. He had a great game passing against the Steelers, but the worst pass defense in the NFL, and he had 5 turnovers. That is not exactly MVP stuff, turning the ball over 5 times when the schedule gets tougher. Yeah, we'll find out a lot when they play the Kansas City Chiefs in a couple of weeks. We'll find that out quite a bit about the Colts, but not buying in yet.
Trash of the day.
Today, we head over to the world of college football. It's Drew Nixon, who hosts a college football podcast, Jay Binkley in. So even for the trash of the day, talk a little college football. This time, a gentleman by the name of Matt Brown did some actual hard research. He did freedom of information requests.
Oh, man. Hardcore.
Over alcohol sales at college football stadiums. So I want you guys to take a couple of guesses of who you think ranks near the top of those lists. This is now, in fairness, he said that this is only for the teams who responded to the request. So, like, maybe some teams didn't and you think they drink more in their stadiums. So on the text line, 913-586-7965.
I think attendance matters. Like the SEC has some real palaces over 100,000 people. I think that makes a big difference.
Units sold and total revenue. So, like, some people might be upcharging you a little bit on that as well. I'll just tell you right now, the biggest total revenue was $2 million.
$2 million.
Drew, who do you think it is? You watch college football. Who drinks?
Well, I would say, I think Wisconsin's got to be at the top of the list. I'm going to say Badgers.
They are shockingly, I think, on this list, 8th.
Oh, really? They're not even in the top
Only
5.
971,000 in total revenue, 80,000 units sold. I got to say, I think Wisconsin's being hurt by the amount of drink before they go into the stadium.
Yeah, before they even go in.
Before they step foot into the stadium.
Performance of the
they
team,
already had 24
They're pregame and
packs
heavy.
I'm going to say West Virginia.
Before they stepped foot.
I'm going to say West Virginia. They were one of the pioneers. Of course, the attendance you have to take into account. But West Virginia is one of the first schools to allow liquor being sold.
Interesting.
West Virginia loves to drink at games. Right. So I'm going to say
either they didn't respond or they're not on the list. I do not see West Virginia. Oh, no, I'm sorry. West Virginia's on here. I missed them, Bink. They're actually ahead of one spot ahead of Wisconsin.
Hey!
$979,000 in total revenue.
That away, West
Number
Virginia.
1 on the list, Nebraska.
Wow.
$2 million, 168,000 units sold.
Well,
University
look at the attendance.
Tennessee and LSU, 2nd and 3rd. Minnesota and Michigan,
These are
4th
in
and
stadium
5th.
alcohol sales.
In-stadium alcohol sales. Anybody surprised at Nebraska?
Not necessarily.
What do you think about the capacity of that stadium?
I am
Never
very
been to Nebraska.
surprised
Anybody been to a game there? Think you've been to a big game there?
I have.
No, I've not been to Memorial
Long
Stadium.
time ago.
I would love to be there because the fan base is incredible.
Well, 84,000 go to Huskers game, 101,000 at Tennessee games.
I'm surprised that Wisconsin's not at least in the top 3. I think that's. I don't know this list. I don't know, Matt Brown. Come on, man.
What's Wisconsin's capacity?
I've had Matt Brown on the podcast before. Come
What's
on, Matt.
Wisconsin? 75,800 is their capacity.
Little Maris, none of the locals on the list.
West
Step up our
Virginia.
game.
West Virginia is
Instead of a
hurt by
drinking
their
game?
football capacity because West Virginia holds 60,000. So if you went per capita, West Virginia, baby.
Yeah. Well, okay, so out of all the
That's
locals,
true. Nebraska holds twice that.
Yeah,
out of all
85. Well, West Virginia, man,
there's
per
obviously
capita.
something skewed with that, but it feels like I mean, what local would K-State holds 55-ish thousand, I think. I don't know.
So
what the
West Virginia's getting after it.
I don't know what the new stadium with KU when they finish it would be. I don't know what Faurot Field is. It's definitely less than Nebraska, obviously. Bink, do you know what Faurot Field is?
Well, they have that, the whole side's not there.
Yeah, that's right. They don't even have full capacity. So I think it'd be difficult for a local to get on the list unless it was K-State because they've got a full stadium
Faurot is
currently.
62,000 in full capacity.
I mean, yeah, you're still. I mean, you got to be drinking to compete with Nebraska.
Well, Jayhawks
30,000 more people showing
said
up.
this is Nebraska's first year selling in stadium too. So maybe some of it's the luxury.
Oh, no wonder.
It's the luxury of being able to drink and be at the stadium.
I always wondered West Virginia. A couple years ago, they had a lightning delay for like 3 hours or 4 hours, and I was going, man, how much are they caking, man? How much beer is being sold at West
Maybe
Virginia?
it's been skewing these numbers.
But yeah, I think you're right about something. The pregame, the tailgating.
Yeah.
I think about Ole Miss and some of those tailgates.
If anybody's ever looked at those maps of the drunkest counties in the U.S., Wisconsin has like 10 of the top 15.
You know, these surveys
I thought
are
for
funny.
sure it was going to be Wisconsin.
Do you know the Chiefs were near the bottom of the list for alcohol consumption at games, which I know is full of
Too
crap.
happy. You know?
I know that's full of crap.
Good stuff. I always think it must be the bad teams. Like if you were Cincinnati, I'd be drinking more. Like if I'm at a Bengals game right now, I'm drinking more than I'm drinking at a Chiefs game.
Oh, be hammered if I
Sad
was a
times.
Bengals
I'm
fan.
not trying to watch,
I'd be an AA if I was a Bengals fan.
Be tough.
Seriously, Drew, I would be, especially after that game last week. I'd be Joe Flacco at the bar drinking alone.
I would have definitely had a drink if I were Joe Flacco at the end of that day. Like, what more do you want me to do here?
Would you be eating alone? I love that.
Oh, you did talk about that. I don't mind eating alone.
I do too. I love when Flacco said that.
Alex is on vacation alone. Doesn't bother.
He goes, I was in heaven.
How many drinks does he get through today? Over under 9.5.
Alex?
For first day on vacation. Over
He'll do like 4 today.
Is he going straight beer? Or is he going
He'll take it easy today. He always tries to plan it out around when it's not all ready. You only got a limited amount of time anyway. I bet he has 4 or 5.
Well, he's with that dude without shoes on.
Yeah.
He might be drinking on the plane. I actually got cut off on a plane once.
I've never seen Alex. He's not an airport drinker either. I'm it could be 7 in the morning, and if I'm getting ready to go to the Bahamas, I would have had a drink at the airport this morning.
I was cut off
And he's
from
not like
Atlanta to Kansas City back in the World Series where the Royals were in New York. I got cut off. I had more than 2 drink minimum. I had 3.
From the 913, K-State doesn't sell in stadium.
I thought they did at halftime to certain. I thought they did to certain club room members or something.
So first year, 55,000 people. Would K-State get on the list?
I don't know.
First year
maybe
in stadium, I wonder if people.
I thought they did to some
up,
people.
I think maybe. Coming up next, we'll get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Right back to the Chiefs. Talk a little bit about what they didn't do at the trade deadline. Plus, forward looking at the schedule after the Chiefs get through these next 2 games, might point to some easier road for Kansas City.
This is Wyatt Thompson, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays 10 to 2, right here on your home for K-State Athletics, 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Another summer is ended. And you may have noticed that your energy is lower, your workouts aren't as productive, perhaps you aren't sleeping as well and feel foggy all the time, maybe even your sex drive is off. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're experiencing some or all of these symptoms, it's likely you have low testosterone. And if that's what's going on with you, don't wait. You need to call us at Heartland Men's Health and get treated for your low T, because living with low testosterone is no way to live. With our low T treatments, if you're like most guys, your life will change considerably. Improved sleep, better energy, greater gains in the gym, better mental clarity, and your sex drive will likely improve as well. Plus, most men see these results in just a few weeks. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes PSA and T-test and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Get ready, Missouri. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming soon. Starting on December 1st, new customers in Missouri can get up to $300 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet. From touchdowns to three-pointers, with FanDuel, any play can be the play of the game. With live betting, you can even get in on the action after the game has already started. All on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. Visit FanDuel.com/Missouri to learn more. And you'll be all set to bet when FanDuel goes live in Missouri on December 1st. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. Play your game of FanDuel, the #1 rated sportsbook app. Must be 21 and present in Missouri. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Offer starts 12/1/25. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters.
Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Macy's Veterans Day sale is one of your best chances to save big on furniture and mattresses. That's because you'll find great deals on our best sellers, like our exclusive Radley 5-piece sectional, delivered to any room in your home with white glove delivery for $25.98, and so many top brand mattresses at 20 to 60% off, plus an extra 20% off closeouts. So come in, try it all out, and get an incredible deal today at Macy's Veterans Day sale. Savings off select styles. Exclusions apply.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs, with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Spreadsheets, clunky software, 100 different logins just to run your business? Ah.
There's a better way. Odoo. One simple, connected platform that handles sales, inventory, accounting, and more, so you can focus on growing, not juggling. Make the switch today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Not available in all states. Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary. Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program may only have to pay back a mere fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it could end your debt nightmare and save you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. For free information and to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, simply go online and visit DRA.com or call 800-474-1811. 800-474-1811. That's 800-474-1811.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by All Weather Decks, Kansas City's most respected deck builder. Check them out at allweatherdecks.net. Cody Tapp, Jay Binkley with you. Drew Nixon on the other side. Talk all Chiefs during this half hour. We'll talk more about Salvi's extension coming up at noon, plus J.J. Piccolo, the Royals general manager, will join us at 12:30 today. But yeah, I saw what I think most of you saw. I am surprised. I think some of this might be a standard thing. And maybe social media is just a hellscape, so maybe the text line will be different. Are you all surprised at the amount of viscera it seems like? Like, I'm frustrated. They could have solved running back for the next 5 years. I want to be clear. I don't think you can solve running back for the next 5 years with any running back in the NFL. Who the hell knows if they're going to be healthy 5 years from now? That's no running back in the league. And they could have just done it for a third. I wanted them to trade for defensive linemen. I understand the idea that you're a little sad that they went stagnant on it. I would also point out that Denver didn't make a move. The Bills didn't make a move. Colts made a huge move, certainly. And I would say the Jags made a small one. No one else in the AFC made some big swings. There were like 10 trades.
Well, Seahawks did for receiver.
Yeah, but it was a busier than normal trade deadline. And there were like 8 moves that we even care about. Maybe 5 moves that we even care about.
Well, that's why I asked Ross Tucker, being a guy that played in the NFL for so many teams, is it easy? What's the easiest positions to just get to another team and play, right?
Yeah.
Like coming off offensively, how long would it take to understand what Andy Reid's playbook is?
Tough. Wide receiver's tough.
Defensive
Tackle wouldn't.
And Ross made a good point there about trusting Mahomes. Does he trust you and what you do? And I'll give you an example. Remember a few games ago, Noah Gray was running a route, and he cut it towards the inside, or Mahomes saw the safety coming up, and Mahomes planted the football beyond Noah Gray. It landed about the 5-yard line. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because Noah Gray, he threw it anyway. But Noah Gray cut the route and did exactly what his route was supposed to be saying. But that's that inherent connection between the quarterback, receiver, tight end, right? It's what Kelsey does. It's what Rasheed Rice does. It's the play you call and the play you do. And clearly that game with Noah Gray where the ball landed at the 5, Noah Gray's off towards the inside. So he's running straight. But instead of breaking off the route, realizing the safety's not over there, he instead ran the exact route and ran right into the safety. So Mahomes puts the ball where he should have gone. Again, these are the things that teams build up with chemistry. You know, all those times with Pat, Pat with his wide receivers building that chemistry with them. And Devontae Adams, when he was on the Manning cast a few weeks ago when the Chiefs were playing the Commanders.
He said, I'm not even sure they're running a real offense.
Yes. Yeah. The play they call and the play they run. Even the Ravens said that when Wink Martindale was the D coordinator. They said, hey, it's the play they call and the play they run. And they turn to the backyard football at times. So a lot of that, and that's kind of what Ross is talking about, understanding, especially the line play where he was, understanding what the quarterback wants, understanding the kickouts, understanding what your quarterback wants you to be. Because there's a big part of that. And just coming in. Like Steve Spagnuolo's system is very difficult. Christian Fulton hadn't even figured it out yet.
But I still think a defensive tackle would have found his way on the field and almost immediately.
Well, a guy like Calais Campbell, I think, would have.
Yeah, and the 39-year-old, I'm surprised he didn't get moved. What the hell what are the Cardinals holding on to?
Because they freaking won on Monday night and they have this false belief now with Jacoby Brissett.
Because they're 3-5 with Brissett.
Well, they lost the game by putting it down before they crossed the goal line. That's one of their losses they had.
I know. And look, they're not talentless. Certainly,
but it's false hope they
Jacoby
have.
Brissett knows to throw it to Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, so I'll give him some credit there.
Are we really sure, though? Because Bink, you said that Christian Fulton doesn't even have specs. Are we sure that is that actually the case? Like, does he not know this? Because
that was, Andy said that after week 3 or 4. So, like, at least some point this season, that was true.
It feels like by now, man.
He doesn't trust him.
Yeah, but, which I think to your point is why they don't make these trades. You know, I think that, to your point about asking the question to Ross about, it's interesting that they didn't make a move because of the repercussions. And Nate talked about it yesterday. He even talked about it last week, I think, even because leading up to the deadline, Cody, you and Alex had asked him about just the edge and needing defensive line help, and he's mentioned the same name consistently. And now that Omar Norman Lott is out, he was starting to get used to things, it felt like, but now that he's out for the season, Ashton Gelati and his importance to the defense has become is now maybe even at the forefront, because we know that Charles Omenihu typically has better back halves of the season and all these other things. But now that we know the deadline's passed, looking at what they have, it's got to be Ashton Gelati to take that step as a rookie. But then at the same time, you took him in the 3rd round, so how much can you actually rely on him? Like, I think that's where people were, and you guys in particular brought it up on the show, is they need defensive line help because, one, with Spags and the system that he runs, and 2, you're relying on now a 3rd-round pick, essentially, to carry the weight of somebody that you could have brought in just to add to the rotation of guys, at least to maybe keep guys fresh, keep Chris Jones fresh, whatever the case is.
I will say this. I'll say this with Ross Tucker. He makes a good point because he's come into a system. Look at the Chiefs' defensive line. They're constant communication. They'll move over. Jones will be in the middle, move the outside. They constantly move guys over and shuffle them according to what the offense is going to run. But it's tough just to come into a system and assume you're going to play and know the playbook right away. And I'll say this, too, about the trade deadline. Do you really make a ton of moves that helps your team? Because really, to be honest with you, the offseason has really won in free agency and the draft.
Yeah.
Like, it's done in April and May.
And they don't want to give up a 3rd rounder.
And in the summer, if there's a guy out there, whatever, you bring him in, so they're training camp with you. But it's tough. But that's truly when the season is. NFL free agency hits and the draft. That's when teams shape their roster for the following season. Not that move you, quote, make at the trade deadline to go and do it.
I just
to know the system.
Yeah, and look, again, I said yesterday, if they don't make a move for defensive lineman, I'm going to come on the show and I'm going to tell you I'm disappointed. I am disappointed they didn't get better on the defensive line. if I'm trying to parse it out so I can like feel a little bit better, there is a huge part of me. Let's take that Bills game, a game that they lost and were handled along the defensive line and the offensive line. Truth is, though, if I had just told you the offensive line was healthy in that game, I'm not so sure the Chiefs don't win it. Their bigger issues on Sunday, they had issues on the defensive line and a lack of pressure. Their bigger issue in that game is that they were getting mauled and Patrick Mahomes was running for his life.
He's hit 14 times.
And that part of the team, I do think will get better, kind of just by default. Jawan Taylor will not play his worst game of the season. And at some point, if there are offensive line issues with Jalen Moore, Simmons will, it appears, be available for the rest of the part of the year. I don't think that means he's necessarily starting against Denver. And when you start looking at the teams that they're going to face in the playoffs, which I think halfway through the year you can start looking at, the Bills got to them on the defensive line. They're not a great defensive line. The Colts are not a great defensive line. The Broncos are, so there's at least one. The Chargers are not a great defensive line. The Steelers are not a great defense, that's for sure, even if they do have a great defensive player.
Especially against the pass.
And so, like their problems right now might be that they have to end up in a playoff shootout. And I am annoyed that they did not get a defensive lineman. But I didn't want them to overuse assets either. Well, back to the Breece Hall thing. I think the biggest mistake people are pointing out is they gave up a third for Kadarius Toney. Why wouldn't they give up a third for Breece Hall to lock up that? Would you go back and make that Toney trade? They traded for a guy who stunk. I'm sorry. In retrospect, I'd rather have the third-round pick back.
And he was still on his rookie. He was still on his rookie contract. I think that makes a difference.
If I could butterfly affect it, I probably wouldn't undo the trade because he was a part of a Super Bowl championship, and I wouldn't want to find out if somehow that upset the universe and stopped him from winning a Super Bowl. But if you're just talking about value for the third-round pick, they got hosed.
Yeah.
He was no good.
I'll say this about Buffalo and what they did is Bosa made a difference in this game. It's the moves that you make. It's the drafts that you do to stop the team in front of you. And Buffalo did the right things. Their first 5 draft picks were on defense. Then they go out and get Bosa because they want to stop Mahomes. Their draft in their offseason was built upon the team that's been their stumbling block in the playoffs, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
They forget about the division, which I know they sit behind the Patriots now, but their main focus, the bullseye, was on the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's the approach to have.
Yeah.
It's just like when the Chiefs were building up. You know who the bullseye was on? The Patriots. It's why they brought in Spags. They had to stop the New England Patriots. That was number one for the Chiefs. It wasn't the division teams. It was that team that kept stopping the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, New England. The Chiefs did the right approach. How do we beat the Patriots? Oh, we'll bring in the honey badger. We'll shore up this defense. We'll make this defense better. That's how we're going to stop Tom Brady and the Patriots. And they also looked at the Steelers and stuff like that. Forget about the division. And I look at this division and brought up before. You look at the draft and what these teams did. Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas, won the first round to the Broncos. Yeah. That's a way to stop Mahomes. And you know what? They need him now because Surtain's hurt. And so Barron's been starting, got a pick a couple weeks ago. That makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the Raiders drafting a running back, even though Ashanjeti's a good running back, in the first round. What doesn't make sense is drafting Amarian Hampton if you're the Chargers in the first round. That doesn't stop a team that's won a division 9 straight times. The way the Broncos approached the offseason, the way the Broncos approached the draft was to stop Patrick Mahomes. That's why I consider them the bigger threat in the division. And it's clearly what Buffalo did. They looked at what we need to stop. What we need to stop to get to the Super Bowl is Patrick Mahomes. Their whole draft, what they did in free agency, all the moves they made were to stop number 15.
They got to be sick of losing to him all the time.
I do really think that them also, we would assume from now on, hopefully, for the Chiefs' sake, Josh Simmons is good to go and all these other things. I think them not only getting him, but him also being a good player significantly helps them in the offseason, where over the last couple of drafts, they've spent their higher premium picks on the offense, whether it be O-line, wide receiver, whatever the case is. They've got some defensive players in there as well, but now they can fully focus back on, to your point, Bink, of how teams are trying to stop Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs have now helped Patrick Mahomes. Now it's time to rebuild the defense a little bit more, where you look at the draft and say, okay, not only, and this is why I think, to the text line's point, somebody brought up that, Bob mentioned this morning, they're probably paying Trent McDuffie or Rashee Rice, so picks are a premium. This is also why you don't do the Breece Hall trade, because not only is it a pick you give away, you're also you're also going to pay Trent McDuffie, Rashee Rice before you would want to pay Breece Hall. Even if they wanted to pay Breece Hall and everything, there's bigger fish to fry.
If they're spending a third round pick on
McDuffie, so do you agree with Rashee Rice now? Because it was met with skepticism. I'd bring it up on the show at night and stuff like that about paying Rashee Rice, because
he's going to be a discount.
They should absolutely.
Last year, the way the CBA works is once 3 years are accrued in the NFL, you can give contract extension to rookies, right? So the 2025, those players were eligible that were drafted in 2022. That's why we saw with Karlaftis. That's why you saw with Brock Purdy. Now, the 23 draft class comes up this year where they can get contract extension. So Rashee Rice, part of that 2023 class, so he's going to be eligible in 2026 for more money. I've always considered Rice is the dude. Every quarterback has that their guy. Rashee Rice is clearly Mahomes' guy. The dude lined up 8 different places for the Chiefs this past week. That is clearly his guy. With elite quarterbacks, you say, all right, who's going to be that guy? Kelsey's on his last legs, right? We all know that. So who going forward is going to be that guy with Mahomes? That's why I think it's going to be Rashee Rice. Over anybody else, Xavier Worthy, everybody else, it's Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
And that's why that will and should be a priority for the Chiefs, even though he still got a contract for that season, the year, because he's a 4-year contract because he was a second-year pick. He didn't have that fifth-year option like first-rounders do, but he'll be eligible this year. And I do think the Chiefs can get a top 10 receiver for top 30 money.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's definitely, and look, at his own doing, he's going to come at a discount because I'll just be honest, I think he needs the cash. Like, I think he's going to be willing to sign a contract extension for below market value this offseason because he hasn't even put a full season on paper.
He's been very loyal to the Chiefs, and they've
Hurt
been
an entire
extremely
year,
loyal to him.
suspended. He has put together one single rookie season of less than 1,000 yards.
And his first 20 games are better than Kelsey, better than Hill, better than everybody. Like, he has that going for him.
Yeah, but
when he's played.
But like, if you're
played.
his agent, good luck. He's got like 16 games under his belt. It's like he's coming at a discount one way or the other.
100%.
Meanwhile, the Chiefs do have their 2 toughest games, I think, remaining on their schedule. I guess I'm curious if you guys agree. At Denver and versus Indianapolis. When we look ahead to their schedule, because I do think we have to look at their schedule now because they're a team that currently doesn't occupy a playoff spot. Honestly, pretty good. They face 4 teams who do not have a winning record the rest of the way. The 2 winning teams that they face are both divisional games at home against the Chargers and against Denver. And the Chargers, by the way, because they're going to be without their 2 starting offensive tackles the rest of the way, they are not going to be the same team.
And they
For
were
the week
without
that they were
Pipkins as well. So Pipkins and Alt Route, they sucked. They both come back. And they beat the hell out of the Vikings. But then Alt's hurt now against Tennessee, and they had to hang on against the They're much different. That offensive line is a mess. Alt makes – it's weird saying that about offensive linemen. He makes that big of a difference with that team.
Not that weird after I just watched the Chiefs play against Buffalo and went down to Wanye Morris and couldn't block anymore. And so it happens. Binkley, I got to say, at Dallas, short week, I guess maybe that one, versus Houston at home, versus the Chargers, at Tennessee, and at Raiders for 2 of the final 3 games. For a Chiefs schedule, which is first place typically, and any given year is, I don't think, like, this is where 1-1 or 2-0. 2-0 would be a huge swing considering their final 6 games. And I might be predicting them to win out
Teams
if
should
they
be
went 2-0 against at Denver versus Indianapolis. Although I'm not predicting they win both those games.
No, with the last 5 games, and I get it, going to Denver next is tough. Then you got Indy. We'll see how good they are. Dallas is a disaster. We saw what happened to them. They still can beat them, though. We know that. But December is much different from the Chiefs. I don't care what you say. December is much different. It's Houston on Sunday night. It's the Chargers at home because they gave up their home game in Brazil. So Chargers at home. The 2 road games for the Chiefs in the month of December are at Tennessee, very winnable, could be picking first on the clock this year again, and the Raiders. And you all know the Chiefs own Arrowhead West in Las Vegas. So in December, if you can get to December with the head above water, your 2 road games are Tennessee and the Raiders. Your home games are Houston, L.A., and Denver. And I get it. Denver's a good team. We know that.
Really solid. LA's a solid team. I just think they're a lot worse without their tackles.
To have them at home, to have Houston, the Chargers, and Denver at Arrowhead Stadium with your only road trips being Tennessee and the Raiders, that is a dream schedule. That's why, Chiefs keep their heads above water because December, things change for this football team with the schedule.
To your point, I don't know if you remember, Cody, before the season, I said the Chiefs would be 5-5. And then they would win the rest of their games. Like, I think they'd win out.
That's
pretty fair. If they went 2-0, I'm definitely like, well, they're winning out.
But you also said Notre Dame would be 0-2, but yet still have a chance at the playoffs, and you're 100% right.
It is interesting how, and this isn't even like a pat me on the back thing, but the confidence, to your guys' point about the schedule going forward, even if they go 1-1, Cody, and let's say they're 5-5 after next week, 6-5 after that, I think they just run the table. Because I think that, to your point being about how things change, They're going to be locked in. It felt like
Simmons will be back and fully functional
yeah,
again.
With
the
way
offense will be healthy, presumably.
With the way the schedule was front loaded with the amount of talent that they faced, it felt like this could be a year where they look a little average, I guess, if you will, which at points the Chiefs have definitely looked like an average football team, but then they hit a point where you get that big win over Denver, you get that big win over Indy or whatever it is. Now we know in hindsight those are two of the better teams. And from there, you're locked in because you know you're fighting for a playoff spot. You're fighting for potential higher seeding than just the 7 seed. You're trying to climb up, maybe win the division by a miracle, depending on what happens if they can beat Denver. And then from there, you know, you're a locked and loaded going into the postseason where everybody's scared of you still, no matter whether you're the 4 seed, getting a bye, or in the wild card as a road team.
Yeah,
it doesn't
Drew,
matter.
going into the season, if you look at the AFC West, and I know they lost the Chargers the first game, okay? But against the AFC West, this last decade, that's a good sample size of decade.
Yeah,
The Chiefs were 17-3.
Yeah,
The Chiefs were 17-3 against the Broncos in the last decade, 17-3 against the Raiders in the last decade, 17-3 against the Chargers going into the season.
Yeah.
So 17-3 against everybody else in your division going into this
And
year.
now they're 17-4 because
track
they've
record.
played a single divisional game.
Well, the Raiders.
Oh, and the Raiders. So they're 1-1.
Yeah.
The Raiders game. I forgot about that. That was such an ass kicking. I just assumed it didn't happen.
It
Let the
happened.
Raiders wish it didn't.
Ask the Colts. They're banking on that one.
Oh, look, God, could the Raiders do me a favor?
How about the Jaguars? The Raiders should
could
have
the
beat
Raiders
the Jags.
could Brock Bowers just light up the Denver Broncos and do me a little solid?
Why couldn't the
Get
Raiders
Broncos on a loss on Thursday night? Oh, it'd be sweet.
Why couldn't the Raiders have beaten the Jags? That was the one they needed to win. Like, that was a game they needed to win, but they melted down in overtime. That was the game where the Jags are the Chiefs' nemesis right now. That was the toughest loss of the year because they're the ones that
Honestly,
sit.
it's the most embarrassing one because
But they're the ones sitting on the 7 line instead of the Chiefs.
no reason to and no reason to lose to that team. There was reasons to lose to the other teams you lost to. They were the better team in almost every conceivable margin against the Jags and still lost. That's the one where you're like,
Well, the
"How do you
Eagles,
lose
the
that
Eagles
one?"
game, too, they had that ball to bounce off the hands of Kelsey. That could have been a win. The Chargers got down to 3rd and 14 where Herbert scrambled and killed the Chiefs with the scramble.
Yeah.
Again, they're winnable games. And even I get it. There's no moral victories, especially with the Chiefs, especially with Super Bowl teams. There's no moral victories. But they played like absolute dog crap against Buffalo and still had a chance to come back and tie it.
And Drew could probably speak to this because I do this on the show a lot. I, believe it or not, do not always agree with the way the Chiefs say stuff like, oh, I think, like Spags like, I think Derek Notty's playing really good. Disagree, Spags. I think he's playing really bad. Or at times when Andy protects or is careful or says things, and for years be like, he's day to day for an injury or we're right there. And last year he said that about the offense. I'm like, I don't think the offense is right there. Guys, I'm going to have to disagree. I don't think it's on the precipice of turning the corner. I think it's mediocre, and you're going to have to win that way. For the first time in a few years, the Chiefs are saying, I think the Chiefs are right. I do think it's close. There's something about the Chiefs team that feels close, that they are not way, that they're just a hair out of sync. Like it's a finely tuned watch, and if they could just get a tune-up, it would be clicking week after week after week. I think there's talent. I think that the team could win. I don't think they're a perfect team. I don't think they're a flawless team. But I don't think they're that far off.
You got a glimpse of it in the Lions game.
Yeah, I don't think they're that far off from being a really good team.
Well, Vegas
every
doesn't
week if they
consider
could just
them
line
off
it up.
because they're right there at DraftKings with the Buffalo Bills for Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, Vegas actually agrees with me in the
So
sense that
Vegas
they
likes
think that they're co-favorites. Obviously, Josh Allen's taken over the MVP favorite, as he should have after beating Patrick Mahomes in that game.
Is he going to be distracted by their parade they're having? They're actually having a parade, by the way.
Oh,
the Bills
for the
Hallmark movie. So they're actually doing a parade for that.
I got to say, it's going out pretty sad that the only parade in your franchise's history is a fake one in a Hallmark movie.
A Kansas City company.
Pretty embarrassing.
And their stadiums are being designed by a Kansas City
see,
company. Populous is a Kansas. So the new stadium is Kansas City company, and the Hallmark movie they're doing is a Kansas City company. So Kansas City's dancing in their heads like Fred Astaire.
I do really think, Cody, and you and Alex have brought this up as well, and Bink, I'm sure you have too, that when we talk about Denver's winning a lot of close games and everything like that, they don't have the pedigree where you can buy into them being that sort of a team where the Chiefs last year, it's all the close games, but we know what they do.
And they still got to the Super Bowl.
And I think that's why, even with the way this year has gone, all they got to do is get in. They might even be the 7th. Let's say the Chiefs sneak in last weekend of the season. They're the 7th seed.
I'd hate to play them if I was anyone.
Exactly. You know that would be the last team that anybody wants to play because they found a way to get into the dance.
I would legitimately consider losing on the 2 line. Like, I might bench my starters if I could lose the 2 seed to the 3 seed if the Chiefs were locked into the 7. I would seriously, and I know that it might cost you a home game. Drew, are you sure that it's not better to be the 3 seed and take on who's going to be the 6-seeded team right now? It'd be the Steelers, or are they in the play? Oh, they're the.
It would be the Chargers or Jacksonville.
Yeah. Are you sure you wouldn't want to take on Jacksonville round 1 and risk the home game?
Well, you know the funniest thing is everybody always talks about the splits for Mahomes. Can he win on the road? Which he proved that he could a couple of years ago when he went on the road. But here's the one thing about him: his yards, his touchdowns, his completion percentage, his quarterback rating, and he's got almost 800 more yards passing on the road than at home. Mahomes has been a better quarterback on the road than at Arrowhead Stadium.
It's weird. Coming up next, we'll get to a little what's trending. Plus, the Royals extended Salvador Perez. I guess we're assuming that means he retires a Royal.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Tune in for the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day, starting at 11:30 right here on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Introducing the IHOP Value Menu, where all your breakfast faves are just $6 each every day. Where else can you get a big, filling, sit-down breakfast for only $6? Go to your happy plates with the $6 IHOP Value Menu. Available every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations.
FanDuel is putting you in control right from NBA tip-off because every day to start the season, you get to choose your reward. Take your shot with the Profit Boost token. You can play it cool with the no-sweat bet, or you can get a little backup with the Bet Back token. So what I like to do is I like to pick 3 players that I think are going to score at least 20 points. It gives you something to cheer for. It gives you something to root for. So you can put a little bit of extra sauce on it with the Profit Boot token, or you can just play it easy. You can play it relaxed with that no sweat bet. Whatever your pick is, whatever your strategy is, get into the game and play it your way. Head to FanDuel.com/KFNZ to make it your choice. FanDuel is an official sportsbook of the NBA and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expirations, league requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement. Kansas Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get out with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
The Chiefs have been scoring a ton of points lately, and that means I'm saving a ton of money at Hy-Vee. And now I have even more reason to cheer on the Chiefs, because I score big fuel savings when I shop Hy-Vee the day after any Chiefs game. Win or lose, I'll earn a fuel saver discount equal to the Chiefs score based on the amount I spend. If the Chiefs score 35 points, I save 35 cents a gallon when I spend $35 on groceries. So the more we score, the more I save, only for my friends at Hy-Vee.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Time for Hy-Vee's Holiday Baking Sale. Make your list and check it twice. Time to stock up on the sweetest deals of the year, like Hy-Vee sugar, $1.99, brown sugar, $1.48, Hy-Vee butter, $2.49, peanut butter, $1.88, and don't forget the Hy-Vee pumpkin pie filling, just 88 cents. Jump in your sleigh and dash away this Friday through Sunday at Hy-Vee.
You know, there's millions of people without the health insurance they need. I get it. You feel like it's too pricey, a headache to deal with. You deserve something better. And Better Health. We're on a mission to get everyone high-quality, affordable health insurance. You have health insurance needs. We have plans with low out-of-pocket premiums, with in-network preventive care at no cost to you, and a network of local doctors and hospitals. So if you're still shopping for health insurance, go to ambetterhealth.com/enroll to get your free, no-obligation quote. That's ambetterhealth.com/enroll. For coverage to start January 1st, you must enroll by December 15th. Find the plan that's right for you right now. ambetterhealth.com/enroll. Ambetter Health, on a mission for better. Ambetter Health is the brand name for health insurance products underwritten by subsidiaries of Centene Corporation. Go to ambetterhealth.com to see offerings in your state. This is a solicitation for insurance.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
Pros don't just show up. They prove how it's done with precision and without shortcuts. Makita tools are built the same way, with a dedication to lasting quality, trusted performance, and results that reward your effort year after year. When the job calls for the best, call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
Not available in all states. Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary. Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program may only have to pay back a mere fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it could end your debt nightmare and save you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. For free information and to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, simply go online and visit DRA.com or call 800-474-1811. 800-474-1811. That's 800-474-1811.
This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
God dang!
Brought to you by Telly Tire and Auto Centers. Winning starts with a great drive. Since 1942, Telly's certified techs have delivered complete car care with top brand tires and expert auto service. Keep your drive going. Take it to Telly. Visit TellyTire.com today.
First up on What's Trending, the Royals yesterday announced a 2-year extension for Salvador Perez, keeping the Royal under contract through 2027. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes, and with JJ Piccolo coming up at 12:30, the Royals general manager. Contract is stated to be at $25 million for the 2 years, so $12.5 million per year, and would certainly make it a whole hell of a lot more likely he gets to retire a member of the Kansas City Royals. Coming off a bad year, not a bad year. He had 100 RBIs and 30 home runs. Coming off a worse year than the year before offensively, but obviously still caught a lot of games for the Royals. We'll talk to JJ Piccolo about their plans for him coming up in just a little bit.
Obviously, for me being moved to to San Diego, that made a difference. But I like the move. He's second best Royal, in my opinion, that they've ever had behind George Brett.
I'll ask JJ, actually. I think that's probably right. I think he's going to go down as the second most prolific Royal of all time.
But I look at Sal Perez and his numbers. His age, he had 100 RBI. Only 15 guys in Major League Baseball got to that 100 plateau. He's one of them. Aaron Judge, who's probably going to win MVP, only had 114. So salvages 14 ribs behind Aaron Judge. 30 home runs this season. I get the average and stuff like that, but who cares about the average at this point? But can he be a good mentor for young catchers coming up? 100%. I think it's a good move for the Kansas City Royals. Not only is it fans because he's been here, he's the last bastion of hope from that 2015 team that won the World Series where he was MVP, but he's been the integral part of winning early and then winning now. So, and again, taking on that mentor, coach, player role.
Yeah.
That I think that he will be for, so 100% for it.
We'll talk about that more in just a moment, obviously. Next on What's Trending, Bink, what do we got?
First of 6 college football playoff rankings out last
We'll talk
night.
more about that,
it was
too.
a nice little 45-minute special at 7 o'clock. They'll have 5 of these, so 4 more of these, and then the all-crucial one that happens on a Sunday, so all Tuesday night, then finally Sunday. I think they got it right. I was watching it last night, and Greg McElroy was talking about it, former Alabama quarterback, saying, I really don't have any complaints about this because they always bring the chairman on, which is Mac Rhodes this year, to talk about, the seeding and why you move certain teams. I don't think there's a whole bunch of questions about this. I think they made it much different since they're reseeding, at least the teams that get buys. And not like last year where Boise State gets a bye. It's the best 4 teams in college football. So I think that is perfect. I know if you want to make the argument about Memphis that wasn't in the top 25 of the college football playoff rankings, being there because the highest ranked
we'll talk about all that in a moment.
You can make an argument, could they beat Texas or Oklahoma? Well, they had their chances. Could they beat them on a neutral site? It's just the way it is. But as far as the playoffs in general, no real complaints.
Next up on What's Trending, Kansas State opened up their season with a 93-64 win over UNC Greensboro. Close game at halftime for the Wildcats, but they went on to cruise easily in their opening game of the college basketball season. Obviously, Drew's a big, not just college football, college basketball fan as well. You can do a college basketball podcast? You take over on the basketball
Drew, you
end?
switching to 249 miles of college basketball?
That's
not
fine.
right now.
Not
right now, but yes. I
Not
love
yet.
college basketball.
Not
You
yet.
should.
PJ Haggerty went for 27 points in the first game for Kansas
Big
State
time.
on
Prime
that
time's
end.
in the news, by the way. Deion Sanders reportedly demoted offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur after
they got
blowout
rocked?
loss. How about back-to-back blowout
They've-
losses for prime
I think they're
time?
outscored 131-7 in the last 2 games.
They were playing some at least mediocre football there for a while.
Yeah,
but
they were
they're
right.
getting absolutely rolled. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. We'll talk more college football playoff here in just a moment. Don't forget, Wednesdays, our Wednesday lunch partner on Cody and Gold is Jefferson's. Obviously, great daily specials, great happy hour, locations in Lenexa, North Kansas City, Lawrence, Topeka, and Joplin. Big and I've been there a bunch of times. If you enjoy wings, it's a great place to check it out. So bring your friends and family out to Jefferson's for the ultimate game day experience. Jefferson's wings, burgers, oysters. Plus, we give away a $50 gift card every Wednesday here to Jefferson's. For those of you who maybe haven't tried it out, we'll do caller number. What's Brees Hall's number for the guy they didn't trade for? What's his number?
20, right?
That's too many calls. Half of that, 10. We'll do Pacheco.
Call it
He's
10,
the
all
lead
right.
back the rest of the way. Caller number 10.
Vintage Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, 913-586-7965.
And, of course, Nick Price, part of Northtown in there. I got to work with Nick Price
Lenexa.
usually on Mondays when we do after hours. So Nick was here. And Nick has been bringing in food and wings and stuff for the Chiefs pre and post. So
Nick is somehow maybe the second longest tenured employee at 96.5 The Fan.
Yeah.
He's been here forever.
Ever.
I left and came back, and Nick was still here. So technically, he's got me beat, too.
And I've been to his establishment several times, both of them, Lenexa and North Kansas City.
Does my time here count in 2 separate wings, or is it only since I came back?
Nah, it counts for.
I can add them together?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
100%.
Not bad.
Does it count with the company when they do like birthdays or yearly birthdays?
No. When they say happy anniversary, they just say it from the time I came back to work.
It does with Vern because he was with same company back in Milwaukee and stuff. So
I
it
was
does
with-
count with
I was
Vern.
not with
but he
Odyssey,
didn't have a
so.
space. He didn't have a space in between like you did.
Yeah, a little bit different. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll talk to the Royals general manager, JJ Piccolo. Not just about Salvador Perez. Oops. Big's cup fell down there. Not just about Salvador Perez.
Damn it, Drew.
Should have played Drew instead. Not just with him about the Salvador Perez deal, but what their offseason plans are, if you're curious what the Royals plans to do. But let's talk Salvador Perez for a minute. There's the obvious part. The fan part's easy. Everyone's going to be happy to see Salvador Perez have a statue be put up one day, remember him as the World Series
Ever-flowing
MVP.
bucket.
I don't think it's unreasonable to question the baseball part. I can make an argument for, and I think I would, that it makes sense to keep Salvador Perez here for the same argument I would earlier, which is I don't think you understand how desperate some teams are at catcher. And if you start factoring that in, you'll realize that a lot of teams, a lot of contending teams, have worse catching situations than the Royals. And even though you're deep
Like
there and you're
Seattle.
all ready to,
Like Seattle.
not Seattle. But when you start really considering the teams that are in trouble and all this other stuff and the teams who win, I'll just tell you, there are teams who would love to have a guy like Salvador Perez. So I'll just say, even in a down offensive year from a lot of the side stats, certainly not the RBI and home runs, that there's value there. There just is. I do wonder if this is slowing down the progression of Carter Jensen. You have a guy who seems to be gold, ready to play right now in the big leagues and is ready to do it. So just as long as he catches enough, Bink, I'm good. If he catches roughly half the season, I'm fine. Just so you know, in F4, so like the value for a player, he was the 5th best catcher in baseball this year. So like, no matter what you think about his age, no matter what you think about this, it still fits from a baseball perspective, and he gets to retire Royal. I just want to make sure Carter Jensen keeps playing. And I want to ask JJ, Does this mean anything as it relates to, are you going to move on from Blake Mitchell? Are you going to move on all this catching depth you have in the organization? Are you more willing to make a move for what we really want, which is another right-handed hitting power hitter that can go somewhere in the middle of the order, Bink?
Yeah, and you would think that was his production. Shohei Ohtani obviously can pitch and hit, correct? He ended up with 102 ribs. Sal Perez had 100. So 2 off of him.
No, he was really good. There weren't that many guys.
No, I get it. Sal Perez, and you look at his overall WAR was ESPN had given him a 7 for that. But catching is a premium in Major League Baseball, and you look at his numbers.
It's hard to find good catchers.
Oh, it is. But just think of his role too. Whether he's DHing, spending some time at first when Vinny goes to the DH at different times, what he will be able to do for a Carter Jensen. Grooming Carter Jensen, a guy that grew up watching Salvador Perez. Like he grew up watching that guy, and now that guy is going to be kind of helping him. And what Salvador Perez has done with his pitching staff has been incredible the last couple of years. As far as just knowing the right time to talk to him, because you can't do all those.
And very few guys catch the amount. And look, I think they're going to catch him less, Bink.
No, he will. He play a lot more DH and
teaching him the job. Yeah, I think I seriously doubt that would hurt the local kid Carter Jensen, right? But he seems to be the only hang up, and I think this is where people are is should I just be, in this case, should I just be playing Carter Jensen every day, and then Blake Mitchell can come in and fill for him? Can I remind people to return? If you're saying, does Salvador Perez still fit their needs at this moment? Somebody earlier said this is not a contending move, and I could not agree less. This is absolutely what contending teams do. Can I remind people what the Royals got for their backup catcher, Freddie Fermin? They acquired 2 pitchers, one of which was excellent for them the rest of the way for Freddie Fermin. There's real value in catching. Some of this is just I'm happy for Salvador Perez. I like the guy. I'm happy he's going to get to retire Royal. Don't get to do that very often.
Well,
right?
When you look at the pitching staff for this team in back-to-back years has been unbelievable, especially all the injuries the Royals dealt with this. They were still a top 5 rotation in ERA in Major League Baseball, despite those injuries they were. And all that comes back to the catching.
And you guys added in, you talked about it a little bit, the option now to move Blake Mitchell, and you solve potentially an outfielder problem. You can address the need in other ways because of that depth that you mentioned, Cody, with the pipeline that they have in catchers. Utilize that. Now that you have Salvador for 2 more years, you've brought Carter Jensen up. He seems to be the goods, at least in terms of what you've seen.
Very solid. And if not, you still have Salvador Perez, even if he's just a backup catcher.
Yeah, so you can move Blake Mitchell if that's the decision, and then you can upgrade the other spots that we've been asking the last season and a half, essentially, with the outfielders. If you can maybe solve that problem without even having to dip your toe into free agency or any of that, you can just solve it right away with the trade.
The Royals right now, number 1 prospect in their system, because Carter Jensen still counts as a prospect. By the way, because he didn't play enough games. This is their system. Their number 1 prospect in their system is Carter Jensen. He's a catcher. Their number 2 prospect in their system is Blake Mitchell. He's a catcher. He's expected to be up in 2026 or 2027, more likely. But just so you know, same difference. Their number 9 prospect is Ramon Ramirez. He is also a catcher, expected to be up in 2028. They are loaded. 3 of their top 10 prospects are catchers. 1's up, and they just gave Salvador Perez a contract. So for that argument, could you say, do you really need Salvador Perez when you are flush in the system? And my answer is yes, because other teams are going to covet these players. And if you are trying to solve your problems, there is more value in a player like Carter Jensen, Blake Mitchell, or Ramon Ramirez than there is in Salvador Perez at age 35. It's not that Perez doesn't have value. He has more value for you than what you could get in return to strengthen your entire lineup and maintain the balance of Salvador Perez.
And he's a productive bat for an offense that was struggling for
who needed
knocking in runners.
I'm not trying to take bats out of this offense. I'll say that, unless it's to replace him with better ones. And at catcher, I'm not likely to get better ones. This whole thing comes down to me, and I pointed this out earlier, and I think it's important, which is last year, they were making the shift before Freddie Fermin got hurt, and I'm hoping that that's how they're going to do it. Last year, Freddie Fermin was on pace to catch. It was between 76 and 79 games, half. Okay, he was going to catch half the games. So they had, and Salvi was better in the first half offensively than he was in the second. And so there's some truth in the idea that they're going to dial back the catching anyway. Honestly. So if that's coming anyway, well, then it should be okay.
And he becomes more of a mentor and a coach to these guys.
Yes, and that's
which he kind of already is that. I mean,
he already is.
Yeah, you already take what he's.
But you get that for a couple more years.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye out on that. Let's talk
and you
a
have
little.
a guy in your system that grew up watching him.
Yeah, we'll talk more Chiefs coming up here in about 15 minutes. Plus, we'll talk with the Royals general manager J.J. Piccolo in just a few as well. But the college football rankings are out, the first of 6, according to one Jay Binkley. Of the rankings are out. Let's talk a little bit about which teams are in, which teams are out. Which offense do you have, Binkley, at least on this end? You guys are big college football guys, so I'll defer to you for a moment. Other than I'll tell you what I said earlier, which is I think the Big 12 is being disrespected a little bit.
They're getting disrespected. I'll say this, though. They have 3 teams ranked before the first ACC team.
I know,
and
but the ACC stinks.
And I think if Texas Tech finds a way to beat BYU, it'd give them just the one loss. So both these would still be in the playoffs, of course, when the next rankings come out. They'd be a bit ahead of Texas as far as BYU is concerned. I had no problems with the rankings. I guess if you say you don't think that the 5th conference champion should get that automatic bid like Memphis, and you look at this and say, all right, well, Memphis doesn't belong in these playoffs, that would be your only argument. You'd say, well, would you take Texas or Oklahoma?
I hate
Memphis?
that. I think that like wins and losses should still matter, and we should let the little guy live, you know?
You should include one.
Little guy should get a chance.
But this is much better than 24, the reseeding. Don't you agree, Drew, that having Boise getting a first-round bye?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's fair.
But in fairness to Boise State last year, though, they were inside the top 10 basically all season long. So they played their way into that. I think them starting as high as they did, I wasn't so mad that they got the bye. Like, should they have? Probably not, but it didn't bother me.
Well, the national champion had to play
much,
on opening weekend. That was bad.
I do like, I mean, yeah, but I think that's the beauty of this system, though, Bink, where Ohio State had the opportunity. They blew the game against Michigan, and they didn't get to play in the conference title game. So it's Ohio.
But who was better, Ohio State or Boise? That's the question. Ohio State's better.
I understand that, but I think the fact that Ohio State lost the game to Michigan, they played their way out of getting a bye because they lost to Michigan.
That's what committees are supposed to look at this and say, well, Ohio State's still better than Boise.
I know that, but I think that without, and who's to say if anything goes differently, I think part of the enjoyment of last year's college football playoff was seeing a team go from round 1 and win the whole thing. I think it shows that the margins for error should be that slim, though, in college football. I think it makes Ohio State losing to Michigan and that single-handedly keeping them out of a bye, I think means that every week still matters. Because
it should.
Because and I understand that you want to rank the teams as they are and everything like that, but if Ohio State were to have lost to Michigan last year and they're like, well, I don't know, they're still a great team and they still are ranked 4th, I don't mind it because they probably are a top 4 team or were. Obviously, they won the national title. But them going through the path of you didn't beat a team that you were supposed to beat, so we're penalizing you, and you got to play on opening weekend. I actually kind of like that. It's not like they were out of the playoff.
Well, do you have any problem at all with the top 5? Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, and Georgia. People often talk about Georgia being top 5, and I'll say this.
No.
They remind me of the Chiefs. They just find a way to win. They linger around. They find a way to win at the end, like they did against Florida, like they did against Tennessee. It's a lot Chiefs-like, and they've got the championships to back it up, winning back-to-back. But it reminds me of the Chiefs, the Georgia Bulldogs do, because they just find a way to always linger around and beat you at the end. But the bottom line is they're beating you.
This thing with college football is I think the biggest mistake college football continues to make, and I've told you this, is they do not value wins enough. Like, so for instance, you're saying, hey, we know Ohio State's better than some teams. Well, I know the Chiefs are better than the Steelers, but they don't get to be seated ahead of them.
Correct.
Like, I know that as a fact. I know the Chiefs are better than pretty much every team in the AFC, not named the Colts or maybe the Broncos. Who knows, right? Maybe 2. I know they're better than the Jags. I don't get to just jump them because I know they're better. And I know they don't play equal schedules.
If you had a committee, they would.
They don't play.
If you had a committee, they would.
But that's the problem. I don't want a committee to decide on their own. Wins should matter. Wins should matter for
100%.
Something.
Do you want to?
That's all.
It is
yeah,
funny.
but schedule matters too.
Sure.
Yeah, Bink, but I think
I don't disagree with that.
In that same breath, then Indiana shouldn't be number 2 in the country. If schedule matters, Indiana should. Their biggest game is Oregon, and yeah, they beat Oregon, but
on the road.
I know
that was a big one.
I understand that, but if we're talking schedule and wins, A&M should be ahead of them. Alabama should be ahead of them.
They put 63 points on a top 10 team.
Ole Miss should be ahead of them. And BYU should probably be ahead of Indiana, too. If we're talking about schedule,
we can look at schedule, but when they played Illinois, they were a top 10 team, and they put 63 on them. They went against Oregon on the road. Indiana's fine.
I got to say, based on ESPN's metric, Indiana has the second hardest strength of schedule. Am I wrong?
Did they really?
According to ESPN's metric, BYU is 4, A&M is 1, Ohio State is 3.
It's much
Ohio
different
State's
this year.
schedule-
Their schedule this year is tougher than
Notre
last year.
Dame's the one
This
you should
year,
actually be
Indiana's
bagging.
team is much better. Again,
Notre
I think
Dame
they
is
have
the
3
team-
draftable receivers, draftable quarterback, and a draftable running back.
I know, but that's where I think it's very nice that, like, because if you just focused on one thing like schedule, or you focused on who was better, then every list would be different. But you have to find a way to encompass everything into the equation. And this is why the SEC gets more nods than the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the ACC. That's why they're going to have more teams in this year, because the conference is so tight and there's so many great teams. In fairness to the SEC, though, I also think that this is an opportunity for the Big 12 to get 2 teams, or the ACC, if you include Notre Dame in that conversation, even though they're not in the conference, to get 2 quote-unquote teams is they're beating each other up, and it'll be really fascinating to see how this last few weeks of the season goes, because right now it's very SEC heavy, obviously, but if you were to just go based on the 12 seeds right now, and you included, I guess, let's say you included Memphis in there, you've got 5 SEC teams, 3 Big 10, 2 Big 12, and FBS. You know an ACC team is getting in, so does that kick out does that kick out a Big 10 team? Does that kick out an SEC team? I think that's where we start to get, because you should have to win your conference to get in. That is very much a requirement. That should be the case. You're starting to lose out if you're the SEC on other 9-3 teams, and that's where the argument of, well, the schedule's tougher comes into play. But in the end, at the very end of the day, you've got to be able to win the games and put yourself in a position where you shouldn't have to rely on the committee to let you in because you took care of business. And I think that's where Notre Dame, you brought up Notre Dame, Cody, real quick. It is interesting that Miami is 8 spots behind Notre Dame because Miami beat Notre Dame.
Yep.
However, if you were to go off the standpoint, Bink, of who's better, Notre Dame looks like a much better football team than Miami has.
Who's on a different trend, because Miami's going down,
yes,
they're going
and Notre
up.
Dame is going up. So I think that's where to Cody's point, it's hard because you want to let the committee decide, because it's nice to have the human element, but at the same time, the BCS system was very much a percentage. How much do wins matter? What does strength of schedule matter? And that was the numbers. There was no bias.
Back in time,
there was no opinions or anything like that. It was just, here's how the format is, and this is what it pumps out.
Because there's still part of me, and I think you were disagreeing. I hate in sports is no matter your circumstance, you still have to play the game. You still have to get on the field and you play. And that was where I'm offended by the way the committee does stuff. It goes back to the Florida State stuff. Well, they don't have their starting quarterbacks, so they don't get in. What do you mean? They won all their games. They had earned,
including the ACC title with their backup. Yes.
They had earned the right. Yes. They had earned it. They had earned the right to play in that game. And they didn't get to because you're well, a committee sat around we don't like it because they don't have their starting quarterback anymore. But if the Chiefs were 16-0 and lost their starting quarterback, then at the 7 seed now, you earn your place. You don't play in the Super Bowl. We just call it a wrap.
And having your starter does matter, and it should matter.
And the funniest thing about this is, too, if let's say Oklahoma barely misses out on it, we're in the SEC, boo-hoo, all this other. Look at how hard the schedule is. You made your bed when you decided to switch conferences, because if you were in the Big 12, Oklahoma would probably win that conference this year. Or they'd be at least in the title game. They would probably be in the college football playoff. But because you wanted more money, you switched to go to the other conferences. Guess what the consequence is? You play in the best conference in college football, and it's way harder to win. So I don't think people should feel sorry for the SEC school that goes 9-3 and is struggling to make it into the playoff, because they may, particularly the ones that realigned, Missouri included. Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. If they miss out on the playoff barely, let's say Missouri goes 9-3 this year, and they miss out on the playoff. They've won double-digit games the last 2 years. If they were in the Big 12 each of the last 2 years, they probably find a way to at least be in the Big 12 title game with the talent that they have.
Well, I think they
made their bed
job
when they left and moved conferences, and the consequence was it's way harder to get in the playoff because it's way harder to win games against Alabama, Georgia, and company.
Well, I think with new rules that are permitted, they're doing well. And this argument on the text line is, who earns it? Do you actually earn it, or are you better? I like the way the committee's doing it. Who is the actual better team? And again, I'll remind people, Ohio State, under the old rules, didn't even make the playoffs last year. They didn't even make it. They won the national title, and they didn't have a big problem doing it either. And under the old rules, they wouldn't have even made it. But because the committee say, hey, this team deserves to be in it, they go on a run, and they win the national title. Again, I think they're getting the thing right.
I think they're getting it right some of the time. I certainly don't think they're getting it right all the time. Sports Talk on 96.5 The Fan is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday in CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. When we come back, we'll talk a little Chiefs, but also the Royals general manager, J.J. Picollo. He breaks down the Royals offseason for us next.
This is Cody and Gold. Tune in for Nate Taylor every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, right here on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan. Cody and Gold are brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
I'm worth more.
I'm worth a little more.
I'm worth a lot more.
I completely agree. You are worth more, and your car's worth more, and we want to pay more at GiveMeTheVin.com for good cars, because they are worth more, and so are you. And remember, if I don't beat the price on a CarMax or a Carvana deal, I'll pay you $100. For top price, trust, and ease of transaction, GiveMeTheVin.com, America's best car buyer.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
BetMGM is coming soon to Missouri. On November 17th, sports fans in Missouri can pre-register and get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if their first bet loses. Plus, an additional $100 in bonus bets if they deposit before December 1st. Enjoy a betting app that was designed for game day, with features like live bets, same-game parlays, BetMGM reward points, and surprise boosts dropping in your account all throughout the season. It's everything a sports fan could want in one app. Pre-registration is coming soon to Missouri on November 17th. BetMGM, make it legendary. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and older only. Missouri only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements and minimum deposit of $10. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire in 7 days. Please gamble responsibly. Pending BetMGM's licensure as a mobile sports wagering operator with the Missouri Gambling Commission register for a Missouri online sports wagering account 1117. BetMGM's insurance of welcome offer is conditional on full license.
Around here, we've got each other's backs. When it comes to health insurance, we want that same kind of support. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City gets that. They're from around here too. Backed by the national strength of the Cross and Shield, they help you make confident choices, no matter where you are. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. From here, for wherever you are. That's the benefit of blue.
Hey, Zach, are you smiling at my gorgeous canyon view?
No, Donald. I'm smiling because I've got something I want to tell the whole world.
Well, do it. Shout it out.
T-Mobile's got home internet.
Whoa, I love that echo. T-Mobile's got home internet.
How much is it?
Look at that, Zach. We got the neighbor's attention.
Just $35 a month. And you love a great deal, Denise.
Plus, they've got a 5-year price guarantee. That's 5 whole trips around the sun.
I'm switching. Me too.
Yes, T-Mobile home internet for the neighborhood.
Donald, you still haven't returned my weed whacker.
Carl, don't you embarrass me like this, please.
What's everyone yelling about?
T-Mobile's got home internet.
And Donald's got my weed whacker.
Yes, T-Mobile's got home internet. Just $35 a month with auto pay and any voice line. And it's guaranteed for 5 years.
Beautiful yodeling, Carl.
Taxes and fees apply. See T-Mobile.com/ISP for details and exclusions.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just one cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Back in here on Cody and Gold. Cody Tapp, Jay Binkley with you. Gold's on his way to the Bahamas. Drew Nixon on the other side of the glass. Chiefs are in a bye week, but the Royals made a move yesterday, extending Salvador Perez through the 2027 season. And on to talk with us now, JJ Piccolo, the Royals general manager and president of baseball operations. Happy to have you on, JJ. He's on the way to the Bahamas. He said he was flying next to someone with no shoes on. Do you guys run into that on the team charter? Is there anybody with a bad plane etiquette?
Not that I know of. It's pretty buttoned up on our plane.
I was about to say, but you guys, how often do you fly like commercially? You know, like in your off season, obviously.
Yeah, in the off season, that's really the only way to travel. You go commercial and try to rack up your points that way, your miles.
Yeah, you know.
Is there a couple guys, JJ, that could get away with it on a charter? Like a couple Royals that could get away with it if they wanted to?
Yeah, probably our manager, Q, could do it. He could pull that off.
Yeah, he's got a laid back attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, the way our plane works, once they get to their seats, you know, that's their clubhouse on the plane. So I'm sure there's some shoes coming off, but nobody's getting on the plane without shoes.
There you go. So I want to talk to you about the off-season plans, but first, you guys extended Salvador Perez. I saw your quotes obviously come out a little bit last night, but explain why you felt the need to do it versus go to Carter Jensen full-time or those things. What do you guys love about having Salvi, and why is it worth keeping him here even longer?
Well, I think that the 30 homers and 100 RBIs is something we would definitely miss, and he's done it the last 2 years. And you know, he's sort of proving to be ageless. You know, he does a tremendous job in the offseason taking care of himself. He's on a mission to play as long as he possibly can, and we know what he's chasing. You know, but the great thing about Salvi is we all know that Cooperstown is a few steps away, but in his mind, he wants to win a World Series. And when you have a team like ours that we expect to compete over the next several years, having somebody that's a leader like that, somebody that's still very productive as a player, and a young catcher coming behind. It's an ideal situation for both Salvi and Carter. You know, Salvi went through this with Freddie and mentoring him and helping him understand what it takes to be a major league catcher and a very good one. And he's going to repeat that with Carter. So I think it's an ideal situation to have a young guy and a veteran guy like Salvi, and both guys really want to win, and that's what's most important to us.
You all just traded Freddie Fermin, and they might believe it more coming from you, JJ. You take calls from teams in the league. You understand the value of catching in baseball. I had pointed out, I don't think people realize how hard it is to get a catcher the value of Salvador Perez currently. Forget the rest of the career, just even at age 35 and what he does from an offensive perspective. How hard is it and how desperate are teams in the league finding catching? I point to the Freddie Fermin deal just even last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most coveted positions in any sport because there's so many things that go into being a catcher in the major leagues. And when you look at Salvi, I mean, you look at the course of his career, you know, the timeline, you know, when he first came up, it was all catch and throw and be the leader of the staff. And he was hitting on our championship teams. He was hitting 7th and 8th. But then as he evolved as a hitter, 17, 18, you started to see him evolve more and move up in the lineup. And now he's an offensive force and still a very good catcher. So it's kind of a neat thing to see. But it's really like two different careers that he's had. One that was driven all by defense and leadership, and now one that's driven more by offense and still have that leadership piece. It's very unique. Usually it goes the other way. Usually it's bat first, defense is okay, and then as time goes on, you know, the bat, you know, hopefully holds steady, but the defense gets better. You know, that's usually how catchers evolve in the major leagues. But we've been really fortunate. Our scouting departments, both domestically and internationally, have done a great job in prioritizing catching. You know, it's a great currency in the game as we went through this trade deadline with Freddie. And it's so much a need. And what we see today is a lot of teams going with a two-man crew instead of just one guy catching 145, 150. And I think a lot of that has to do with what we've learned about workload management and keeping guys fresh and getting the most out of their offensive production. And that's kind of the phase we're in right now with Salvi.
So I guess two questions as it relates to Salvi. One, do you think that this means he's going to retire a Royal? That's obviously what people are rooting for. But also, do you plan on a similar split between Salvador Perez and Carter Jensen as you had at the beginning of last year, where it looked like Fermin might catch close to half the games?
Yeah, ideally we would have a split. You know, we don't know how the season's going to pan out. I mean, Carter was so good in September with the bat, and you know, internally we know how much he's improved with his defense. I mean, he is a workhorse. I mean, he's in the Dominican Republic right now playing. I mean,
nice.
He's still playing. He's got another couple weeks left. That's how much the game means to him. But he's still a young player in the major leagues. So to pinpoint he's going to catch 80 games or 85 games, that's a tough one. But I think our goal would be, you know, some sort of split between Salvi and Carter. And you got the DH spot. Salvi obviously will occupy that a majority of the time when he's not catching. And if Carter's swinging the bat well, then, you know, he'd be a logical choice to get some DH at bats. So, you know, it's just the deeper you are with catching, the better off you'll be. You know, probably, I forget what year it was now, but I'm going to say about 10 years ago, we had one spring training. We lost Salvi to a knee injury. We lost another catcher to a knee injury a couple days later, and it's very fragile. So you need to have as much depth as you could possibly have between the major leagues and AAA. And ideally, the better the prospect, the better you feel about it. But right now, we're in a pretty advantageous spot.
Yeah, and JJ, you look at Salvador Perez's bat, only 15 guys had 100 RBI in Major League Baseball. He was one of them. Actually, he had two of them with him and Vinny, but that's irreplaceable. You talk about the mentoring of Freddie Fermin and stuff like that, but having Salvador Perez, how much value is to a guy that's going to be probably a future Hall of Famer, a mentor, a coach, especially to a guy like Carter Jensen, which is an unusual thing in baseball, that he grew up in this area and grew up watching Salvador Perez and then having him, you know, still be a part of this team. How big is that aspect? I know you're not asking him totally to be a coach and all that because he's a player, but obviously that's what he does. So how invaluable is that, having him here?
No, it's incredibly valuable. I mean, that's part of the discussions that we had with Salvi at the end of the season and through this month about where he is in his career. And in addition to the 30 homers and 100 RBIs, here's what we need you to do. It's kind of I don't know if this is a great analogy or not, but Carter being from Kansas City, Salvi was his hero. That's who he watched every night when he came to the ballpark. So that's kind of a neat thing. But in a very similar way, that's what Salvi was to Freddie Fermin, too, both being from Venezuela. Freddie signing here at 20 years old. He idolized Salvi. And then the next thing you know, he's playing with Salvi. And it's a really cool thing. And I think because there's that respect that the younger player has for Salvi, that lends itself better to the mentorship that's going to take place. And I could see that repeating itself in a different way, just given the backgrounds of Carter and Freddie, but I could see that evolving the same way it did with Freddie.
Maybe you gave an insight to this because of your answer of catching depth and the injuries and all this other stuff. I think the initial instinct is, okay, well, now we know the Royals need a right-handed outfield bat, or they have these other positions of need this offseason. Do you think dipping into your catching depth in the minor league system is a way of doing that? 3 of your top 10 prospects, including Carter Jensen, in fairness, are top 10 prospects in your system. So, is there a point of catching depth, do you think that could be used as a tool to get you some of the major league talent you need this year?
Yeah, I think that can be said for any area that you are deep. So right now our major league starting pitching depth is tremendous. We expect to be hit on our starting pitching this offseason. We have gone through teams asking about our catching in the minor leagues already, and that will continue, I think, with the guys that are behind Carter. So we'll be open-minded to it. The toughest part about trades is whoever may have interest in whatever catcher we have or starting pitcher we have, they need to have the player that we want in return.
Yeah, sure.
So that pool gets somewhat dumbed down pretty quickly. It gets a little bit thinner, so there's certain teams you can target and have those discussions. And in the end, it's ultimately, who do they value the most? Who do we value the most? But we certainly expect catching to be something the teams will ask about, and starting pitching, major league ready starting pitching, to be another thing that other teams covet.
Do you think it's more likely that you solve, let's just say, I think you need a right field or a right-handed bat. I'm sure you guys agree, but is it more likely that outfield position is solved via trade or via free agency?
Well, I think looking at the market right now, it doesn't seem like it's very deep with the number of outfielders that are really impactful. So if we want to try to go get a really impactful bat, I think our mindset is probably a little bit more on trade right now. If we end up going with some sort of platoon system in one of those spots, it could be through free agency, but we need to stay open to any and all ideas. And, it'll take shape here. The GM meetings are next week, so I think things will start taking shape more so after next week. But preliminary discussions have already been had with teams. So teams know what our needs are. We know what their needs are, and you just formulate how you want to go about it. And hopefully things pick up a little bit next week.
Hey, JJ, were you able to watch any of the World Series? Did you enjoy it?
I did. It was a great World Series. A lot of intriguing plays, a lot of things to talk about.
Close ones, yeah.
The 18-inning game was tremendous.
Crazy.
I was actually kind of falling asleep, and through my eyes barely open, I saw Will Klein warming up, and that perked me up a little bit. I wanted to see Will pitch, and what a tremendous job he did. That's a memory of a lifetime, and just to know, he was once a Royal, and was an avenue for us to get Lucas Erceg. It's a good ending for him and for us. So that was kind of neat to watch. It was just kind of a personal thing for a lot of us in the organization. But there was a lot to talk about. We like to talk about our baseball 101 classes. There's plenty of plays that took place in the World Series that we'll be pointing to with our minor leaguers about what to do and what not to do in these situations.
It was crazy. That 18-inning game was crazy because it started the same time the Chiefs game did against the Commanders that Monday night. And Washington had a flight delay. It nearly made it back to D.C. by the time that game ended. That's how long. Yeah, that's how long that 18 game.
You could watch the Chiefs game over again, and the baseball game is still going.
It was crazy. Now, what about in Game 7, the play at the plate that was reviewed? Can you imagine winning a World Series on a review? Had they given that to the Blue Jays? Can you imagine it just would have taken away some of the excitement winning by a replay?
Well, our memories are always, you think about George Brett and Saberhagen hugging, after that last out in '85. Think about, Wade Davis throwing his glove out. To not have that moment, something would be missing. But we were pretty close to that happening.
Yeah.
So when it happens in the regular season, everybody's kind of confused. I can only imagine what it would bring to end the season and crown a World Series champion.
Does the upcoming ABS change do anything roster-wise for you? Does it change anything about how you guys go about your offseason?
No, not really, because, just use Carter as an example. I mean, he played with the ABS system in AAA this year, so he's accustomed to it. It really isn't going to change. For a period of time, we were, I think, as an industry, curious where it was going to go, ABS or automated balls and strikes, and they're two very different things.
Yep.
So the skills that today's catchers need to possess, or I'll say the 2025 season, they're the same skills that the catchers are going to need to possess with the ABS. With the challenge system. If it was automated balls and strikes, it's a little bit different. You'd go back to blocking and throwing is the most important thing. You don't even need to worry about who's catching the ball for you back there.
Yeah, no need to frame.
An art.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's an art to what's going on with catchers today. It's very different than 15, 20 years ago. But the challenge system allows us to continue to teach the way we've been teaching over the last 6-7 years.
I'm curious, JJ, about that ABS thing. One thing is, if you use the two challenges, of course, if one works, you get it again. They give them an extra in the extra innings. But is there kind of a strategy to when to use them or not lose them, to still have them in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning instead of using them early? Is there a strategy of when to use them?
Yeah, we'll be working on that with our R&D department, but certainly very similar to what I don't know for a fact, but at least what you hear watching the NFL games, the head coaches have strategy and when to challenge, when not to challenge. It's very similar going for it on fourth down. So we'll have some strategy that we haven't implemented in the minor leagues because in the minor leagues, it's still about development. But the interesting thing here is the coach, no coach gets to choose whether or not to challenge. It's the batter, the catcher, or the pitcher. One of those three, and it has to happen immediate. So there's going to be some guardrails put in place that will develop when to challenge. You want to challenge in high leverage situations. So you don't want to lose a challenge with nobody on in the first inning, 2 outs, 2 strikes. You don't want to lose a challenge. That's foolish right there. So there will be a lot of discussions with our players and strategy that's shared with them. So we're using our challenges properly, and you still have challenges remaining later in the game. And it's funny about what we've already seen. There are some guys that are really good at it. Some catchers are really good at it. Some catchers are not really good at it. Some pitchers are really good at it. Some hitters are really good at it. So we'll have some strategy involved in a ranking system of who are our better challengers, and you guys get a little more freedom to do it.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Those
your
who
best
walk
challenger?
Better. Yeah, I mean those who got a good eye at the plate. I'd let Jose Ramirez challenge anything he wanted. JJ.
Well, he's a tough one, but he's got a good eye. So he'll be able. I'm guessing he'll be pretty good at it.
Yeah, something tells me. Last guy I wanted to ask you about, and then we'll let you get out of here. Just because it felt like a really big moment for the person, and you're around the person a lot. I found myself really rooting for and having a nice moment watching Maikel Garcia win an award for the season he had. What was it like for Maikel Garcia? How happy were for you in him, the player, and just his growth this year?
Well, really proud of him. I know last year we felt internally that he should have been a Gold Glover last year, and I think because he's a little bit more under the radar, not as well known, he doesn't get the notoriety. He comes up short last year. He wasn't even a finalist. And then this year he makes the All-Star team, continues to have a great season. So he is a feared player around the league. Everybody that we talk to admires and comments on how good of a player he is and how talented he is. And once you get that reputation, the awards start coming. But Maikel's put a lot of hard work into it. He's really an outstanding shortstop. He's just on a team with a really, really good shortstop as well. But the left side of our infield arguably is as good as anybody in baseball from a defensive perspective. And then when you put their offense together, I don't want to say it's unmatched, but it's pretty good. So it's we're very fortunate to have both of those players for a lot of years.
JJ, really appreciate the time today. Congrats on getting Salvi locked up, and we'll talk to you maybe later on in the offseason.
Sounds good. I appreciate the time.
Royals general manager JJ Piccolo joining us here on Cody and Gold. Look, the catching thing, they have both between starting pitching and catching. You can't tell me they can't acquire something of need. You can't tell me they can't find a right-handed power bat. Like, they have 9 or 10 starting pitchers.
I get that, but that
now.
came in the hand this year.
I know.
Like keeping that starting pitching going, because you lose Bubich as early as they did, and as good as he was.
Sure.
That came in handy.
But they earned it.
And you can't always expect that.
They earned the depth this year. They made savvy moves with Fermin, and those guys look good. They developed Noah Cameron, and he came up. Yes, they had to deal with Cole Reagans and Chris Bubich and all these other guys getting hurt. They're not going to run through that many starting pitching injuries next year.
Not.
Just the same. They have more guys than they can use. Like, that's the truth. They just have more guys than they can use.
The ABS thing I thought was interesting because you don't want guys to freelance doing it, right? Like, you don't want a guy coming to the plate and tapping the helmet and saying, because it's coming from the players, the catchers, the hitters, the catchers, or the pitchers, right? It's not a manager's decision. But you definitely don't want to be in a situation where you waste them. That's why you look at these games close as well. This would have been taken away care of by ABS. Really? Well, you better have one challenge still available, because if you don't, you're screwed. So ranking your hitters, obviously Perez being a catcher would probably know it pretty damn well, to be honest with you.
You would think so, but
That
he's
would
a
be
pretty
my
free,
favorite in the clubhouse.
In fairness, he's a free swinger. Of the guys with the best eye at the plate, they actually keep metrics on this. Like the guys who are better at watching balls and strikes and watching called third strikes. Vinny is one of the better hitters on the team at identifying that.
And Bobby.
Bobby and Salvi are actually a little more free swinging than some other guys. Not that they're bad at it, but they do sometimes let some pitches go that they shouldn't in a strike three situation. So I assume catching, I would think behind the plate.
But you just don't want to picture somebody getting pissed and using them up.
Yeah. No. It's got to be, if it's going to be in the first, second, third inning, it better be bases loaded, 1 out. And they call you for
I think
strike
people
3.
assume that every ball and strike's going to be, no, you get 2 challenges.
No, it's
one
all,
extra innings.
it's all leverage. All leverage over and over and over again. That is the way to do it. That is the way to pay attention to it.
Random question.
Random question of the day brought to you by Kansas City Urology Care at KCUC. Remember, you see the best in KC. Visit kcurology.com today. 10 minutes away, we will talk to Josh Klingler. But because Gold's gone, I did the trash of the day earlier. Bink, I concede the random question today to you. What do you got?
I always like when you say it. You go, for you, Drew, for you, Gold. I mean,
Yeah. For you, Bink. For you, Drew. Text line
for you, Cody.
913.
For you, Drew.
You know, like that way you can still feel like you're a part of it.
913-586-7965. Brought it up the other night on After Hours, and I was shocked at the because usually I have these old man takes.
Okay.
You know, like the
people
Halloween
said that you were hard on Halloween.
You know what? Here's the thing. I didn't call the kids little bastards. Let me straighten this out. It was the ones that stole the candy dish. Those are the ones I referred to as. Not just every little kid coming.
Okay,
I
that's good to know.
referred to the kids that stole my candy dish when I said, please take 1 or 2 or whatever it was.
And they took all the candy, or
And
they
they
took the
all
dish too?
and the bowl.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's little bastards.
Taking the bowl, that's crazy.
And Drew actually agreed with me on this. I was shocked to hear Drew's opinion a couple of days later on the Halloween thing. But this has nothing to do with Halloween or Valentine's Day or any other thing I hate. This happens to do with celebrations. Of course, in college football, and Drew watches a ton of it, the taunting, right? The taunting where you stand over a player. They're going to call it. Unless you're Arch Manning, they won't call it. But typically, they're going to call taunting. And it drives you crazy when you capitalize and hurts your team. The one thing in the NFL, and I get it, it's what they do now. They allow the players, when you get an interception or a fumble recovery for the defense, they allow them to run to the other end zone.
Yes. You want to get rid of it? Or
Like
you
we saw
asking
the
if we should?
Niners, like the Niners and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Remember the 49ers, they would run the end zone, they'd pose. I'm not saying old man take, get off my lawn, but do you really have to run to the end zone after every interception?
So your question is, do we need it?
Here's the reason. So the other night, the Commanders are getting rolled or ass kicked, however you want to put it. Sam Darnold was destroying them. Sam freaking Darnold was destroying them. And I get it. He's having a good year. Like he did last year, except when he got to the postseason and peed down his legs. But that's what he does. So Sam Darnold's destroying the secondary for Washington. They get an interception with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. It's down 31-7. And they run to the other end zone, pose, do all the celebration stuff. Down 31-7 in a game. I get if it's a close game and you want to do it because they are allowing it, and I understand and pumps up the team and everything. But really, when you're down 31-7 Do you really need to go and pose in the other end zone, or should you just turn around and put the ball on the ground?
So it's not the
or hand
concept
it to
of
the
it.
official?
It's being
It's
down.
when it's being
down. And
It's when it's being done.
I got you. I think
So
I
this
agree
is,
with you.
is this a okay? So you do.
I don't think you should
I agree.
celebrate anything if you're down double digits.
I mean, if you're down 31-7,
In
you
the
really
fourth
want to go
quarter.
pose.
Even if it's a touchdown. Yeah.
If you are down more than 20 at any stage of the game, I don't even want you celebrating a first down. Don't even hit me with this.
But it's getting crazy
You know
now.
what I'm saying? Like, don't even hit me with the
one of those.
I just got a first
It's
down.
getting
You're down
crazy.
27-10. Nobody cares you got a first down.
Every player that gets
Yeah.
a tackle or whatever, they point to the back of the jersey. Look at me, I just made a tackle. It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make tackles playing on defense. I brought this
I'll
up.
allow it for a point.
I brought this up to text line. I said, does your accountant at your office like stand on his desk, throw his paper clips and say, did you see that spreadsheet? That was awesome.
They might.
Did you see that? And actually,
I haven't
someone
worked around a lot of
responded.
accountants.
They're a software engineer, and they said that they do celebrate when they've had a good project.
I do.
So I stand correct
conceptually-
that they do celebrate at your own job. But technically, that is your job to get a first down or make a tackle.
I will say this. I think it would be, before we go to break, Cody, I think it would be awesome in Bink if, let's say one of the salespeople down there, they get a
Rung
buy,
a bell?
whatever. Something. A bell is rung. If they run up and they do a lap around the building, like just going nuts, doing a dance, I think it would actually be pretty epic. I will
Like,
say.
if we got done with the second minute, we could be like, nailed it! Yeah!
if you
start
guys killed it.
high-fiving people.
JJ Piccolo interview that you booked. Yeah, hell yeah,
You
G.
guys
Got
did
it!
the interview
General
with
manager
JJ.
of the
You guys
Royals.
should get up and like dance, or you guys should do a lap around the building, going nuts, or something like that. 100%.
I'll consider it. That's the random
But if
question.
you're down
of
31-7,
the
don't
day.
do it.
No. Agreed. When we come back, we'll talk to Chiefs sideline reporter Josh Klingler about the Chiefs bye week and what he thought about a lack of movement at the trade deadline.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? It's Trent McDuffie. You're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays 10 to 2 on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
You know what it's like to feel right. So if something's been feeling off, it's not just signs of aging. It could be your energy slipping away. All of these things could be low testosterone, making you not feel the same, and you're looking for solutions. Well, the solution is testosterone replacement therapy at Synergen X and Low T Center. But don't just take my word from it. Lots of patients have talked about how it's changed their career, their lives, their marriage, and so many other parts of their day-to-day living, where they customize it at Synergen X and Low T Center. They customize that TRT. They make sure that you are taken care of in a way that is customized to you. Not like some other places in town where they might, not give you that same level of personalized treatment, instead make it blanket for everyone across the board. For a limited time only, visit any Synergen X or Low T Center for a free hormone consultation and free T-test, and automatically enter for a chance to win either autographed sports memorabilia, such as jerseys, balls, or helmets, or you may even win a pair of tickets to a major sporting event in town. So if you've been thinking about getting back to the top of your game, go to the original MVPs of TRT and visit Synergen X and Low T Center by booking your appointment today at TRTMVP.com. That's TRTMVP.com. You'll be wishing you did it sooner.
Is your garage door too loud and whining for help? Overhead Door Company of Kansas City will make it all better. They will perform their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $79. That's just $79 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done once a year, so why not now? And for just $79. Call Overhead Door Company of Kansas City at 816-221-0072 or schedule online at overheaddoorkc.com.
Around here, we've got each other's backs. When it comes to health insurance, we want that same kind of support. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City gets that. They're from around here too. Backed by the national strength of the Cross and Shield, they help you make confident choices, no matter where you are. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. From here for wherever you are. That's the benefit of blue.
Hi, I'm Emily, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where a small box with a burgundy bow will help you win the holidays. As an in-house designer, I love creating meaningful, fine jewelry gifts. Choose a necklace with a gorgeous infinity charm to symbolize your everlasting love. Or go for a personalized piece with an engraving, their zodiac sign, favorite color gemstone, or their initial accented with pave diamonds. Because a friend wants you to be a holiday hero. Stop by or shop now at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than just Peyton Manning. I'm also motivating Manning, and you too can be so much more.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Get ready, Missouri. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming soon. Starting on December 1st, new customers in Missouri can get up to $300 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet. From touchdowns to three-pointers, with FanDuel, any play can be the play of the game. With live betting, you can even get in on the action after the game has already started. All on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. Visit FanDuel.com/Missouri to learn more. And you'll be all set to bet when FanDuel goes live in Missouri on December 1st. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. Play your game of FanDuel, the #1 rated sportsbook app. Must be 21 and present in Missouri. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Offer starts 12/1/25. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that for Bree's car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Bree's car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy for Breeze. La 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 la.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where'd I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use Card Lock.
Wait, I could just lock my card.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound? That's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at TheFan965 for behind-the-scenes videos like MVP Monday, Chiefs Take Tuesday, and Best Bets. This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ, FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
Back in here on Cody and Gold, 96.5 The Fan. Jay Binkley with me. Cody Tapp here. Drew Nixon on the other side of the glass. Our guy Josh Klingler, Chief Sideline Reporter, will join us in just a few minutes here on the show. I will say, Bink, I don't know if you got audio handy. That way it plays over the stream. Drew had sent me a piece of audio yesterday that I had kind of forgotten about. And you might know, and I'm sure the NFL fans following, that Tucker Kraft unfortunately was hurt in the game after this.
It was our character concerns guy.
But he's alive, right?
He is.
Because someone might need to tell Romeo Dobbs. Can you roll me that audio real quick and just hear his reaction about what happened to his guy?
Wouldn't wish that, just on, one of our captains or even just your worst enemy. I don't wish that on any man. And, Tucker is in a better place. But again, you just gotta. Next question, please.
He's alive.
He is in a better
He
place.
could barely answer the question, legitimately.
Look, he's very sad about his guy, and I get it. And that's a devastating blow to their offense and what they've been this year. And I feel really bad for Tucker Kraft, who's having a phenomenal season at tight end. He's in a better place. That's what you say when you put your dog down. That's not what you say when you're talking about a guy who got hurt. Bink, you've been following football a long time. I don't think that's the proper
No,
phrasing.
you don't say that. You're not in a better place. You're never in a better place.
Oh, he's in a worse
Healthy
place.
and playing.
Because
Yeah, he's still alive, though, Romeo. He's still...
he's in a worse
be
place,
back next
decidedly.
year. What you need to be worried about is your own Packers team losing to both the Panthers and the Browns and tying the Cowboys. That's what you should be worried about, not Tucker Kraft.
Tucker Kraft's pretty good.
He was our favorite. And keep in mind, he was the second tight end they took when they... in the draft a few years
Luke
ago.
Musgrave is a nice little backup to have, though.
But Musgrave went around higher than Tucker.
Little bit of news, by the way, out of the Royals. Nothing big, but just so you know, the Royals have exercised their 2026 option, not for a player, with FanDuel Sports Network. So they will be airing their games in the exact same way they did last year. If you figured out how to get the Royals last year, you'll have no trouble getting them this year.
I thought it was fine.
They had a TV option here. I thought it was fine, too.
I thought it was
It's
great.
connected to Amazon if you wanted it that way, which is the way I did it. I've pointed this out before. It's not that there's no way to watch the Royals. It's that there's no freeway. And unfortunately, other than local football, there isn't a lot of free ways to watch or consume most sports. That includes the NBA. Like, yeah, you can watch the one game a week on NBC. You can watch the baseball game of the weekend there for a while on like places like ESPN or others. Obviously, they've now moved off of Sunday Night Baseball. But the Royals will be back on FanDuel TV at least for the upcoming year, just so you know. You like FanDuel? You like I love Rex and Ryan and Jake Eisenberg and all the guys who work here at 96.5 The Fan. Glad that we'll have them back for at least
Watching the Royals, everything.
for another
I thought
season.
it went well.
I just wish they would have made the playoffs. That's all.
And now we can gamble on the next Royals season in Missouri. I know we can in Kansas. We can we're here, but you can sit at home on your screened-in porch, Cody.
Yeah,
you know, you can bet on the Royals.
People think that that's for the read. That's for real. My favorite place to watch the Chiefs is sitting out on my screen.
So I brought this up, Cody. By the way, we were talking about chili cook-off. I know Odyssey's having one.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, but I was bringing it up the other night because Jackson brought in some from his dad, and he's like a championship chili cooker. I had some from Dusty. Dusty left me some the other night. I say Dusty's the top 2 chili guy, and I said really only they're wanting to do a competition here at the station with some of the guys here. I said, well, Cody would be one of them. I don't know how. But
I have a chili thing every year, but I'll consider.
You do, but
I will
Dusty, not Gold, and people like that. So that's not going to happen.
But let's head out to the text line. That's where Josh Klingler, Chief Sideline Reporter, joins us now.
Oh, the text line?
Kling, are you okay? Are you okay that the Chiefs didn't make a move? Chiefs Kingdom seems very upset that the Chiefs were so quiet.
I would have loved if they would have found something that made sense along the defensive line, because I still think that was probably the one spot that I would have shored up. I don't know what the status of their offensive linemen are. So when I'm sure I wasn't the only one, when Washington floated out the Wiley Allegretti thing, I thought, well, maybe they throw a late round, 7th round pick or something at Washington to try to get an offensive lineman that they're familiar with just in case. But the running back thing, I think I've talked to you guys about that. I just never really understood. Yes, I think they need to be looking in the future for a more dynamic running back. Nothing to me made sense though in season with the way that their roster was set up with both Pacheco and Hunt. Assuming Pacheco's not more than last game, that next game he's fine. Nothing else really made sense because I just don't think you're going to take any carries away from them. Plus, there's only a certain amount of times you're going to run anyway. It's a position that they just don't run with a lot. So I think they had what they needed at running back for now. I think next year's a different story. So other than defensive line, I just really didn't see a spot that it made a whole lot of sense. I would have loved to have, somebody had available some kind of defensive tackle, defensive end type of thing, not Quinn Williams price, but, somebody with some veteran experience he could have made an addition to the defensive line.
I think part of this Kling is and I think an undersold part of it, because they're like a 3rd round pick for Breece Hall. Come on. They'll lock it up for 4 years. One is, I don't think running backs ever locked up for 4 years. I don't think that's a sentence that actually makes sense in the NFL because you just don't know. But also, I think last year or the year before, I was more like, they need a running back. They need help. They need to be dynamic. They are dynamic. Like, maybe it's not at running back, but they are loaded at the wide receiver position and have plenty of dynamic players. I worried less about running back specifically this year because I don't think they lack athleticism and explosive ability.
And then, I mean, they're a top 10 running team.
Yeah.
Which surprises people. I know it's been by committee, and I know Mahomes had a good chunk of that, for a while, but they've been running the football better. And you throw Rashee Rice in the mix. He's going to run the football, right? So you're gonna put him in the backfield on occasion and have some extra runs there. So I just thought that they had enough at that position. Plus, I just didn't see who they were going to bump to make room for somebody. Plus, we've seen it before. In-season additions that aren't familiar with what they do don't get much of a run. So, that's why they go to the well, right? They got Pennell. That's why I thought maybe Wiley and Allegretti made sense. They don't have to teach everything during the year because we've seen it before. They haven't had the most success in doing that. I don't think that, they like to stop a lot what they're doing to try to bring somebody up to speed necessarily. It doesn't really fit what they do. So you have to be kind of particular. And then, the price tags. Who knows what the price tags are? I don't think I would have given up a third-round pick for a rental running back that's not going to be here for you in the future. Find something with control maybe, but even at that position, I think I'm just waiting to see what I can find in the draft next year to go along with Brashard Smith. And then, who knows, maybe I'm re-signing Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco to a one-year deal.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, Kling. The thing about it is we don't know if this is 100% true. Someone on SNY said it was a fourth round. They wouldn't accept it in the third round. So we don't know. We haven't heard that from the teams. But you see this all the time.
And if it was, that's fine.
Yeah. We don't know.
I don't think I would have given up a third round either.
No, I wouldn't have
either. They had their price and they stuck to it. And if their price was fourth and the Jets wanted a third, they couldn't agree on terms. And that's when trades don't happen.
Yeah, and you said it right there, Kling. And I asked Ross Tucker about this earlier too. All the different teams he played in the NFL. I said it's not easy because the quarterback, and Ross brought this up. The quarterback has to know what you're going to do. Like you have to be on the same page. I told Cody earlier, I saw Noah Gray and Mahomes put the ball about the 5-yard line because he expected him to keep running it. It's one of those inherent, things the quarterback has that connection with the wide receiver tight end to break off your route and go where they're not. And it is tough under Andy Reid. It is tough under Steve Spagnuolo to be on this team. And we've seen it here firsthand, Kling, right? Clyde Edwards-Helaire got activated because his familiarity with the system, I'm sure, over Elijah Mitchell for the Bills game.
Yeah, I think that was pretty telling too, right? Like, we're going to go with a guy we trust that knows the system. I was almost surprised he got carries. I wasn't so sure he was going to get carries. I thought he maybe kind of the emergency type guy, but got carries in that regard as well. But also, look at that game, guys. They were facing the 31st ranked run defense, and they ran it, 17 times, something like that? It's just not going to be a high volume position anyway. So to kind of circle back to it, if there was something that would have made sense, I might have done it. I would have loved if somebody came to the Chiefs and wanted some things. I was really hoping the Chiefs would be in that other mode where people were calling like, hey, you're not playing Christian Fulton. We'll throw you a draft pick. And you go, oh, okay. You're not playing Elijah Mitchell. Any interest in a pick? Like, just parcel off some of those extra pieces that maybe you aren't going to use for draft picks. I was hoping it would kind of be the reverse, that they were sending guys out as much as bringing guys in.
Maybe Vrabel put it best. He was just speaking to the media about deals that were being talked about as being close, Kling. This is the direct quote. Quote, deals are like being pregnant. You either are or you're not. I don't know how close you can be.
Very good.
Which, all-time quote, certainly if you're there in New England. Look, when I look at the team, and I said this earlier in the show, Kling, there are times in which I think the Chiefs say things that I don't believe in. Like last year, midway through the year, they're like, we're really close on offense. I'm like, I don't think so. Maybe you're close to being a mediocre offense, but close is still relative. I actually do believe this team when they're like, we're not that far off. Like, even in the Bills game, I spent the entire first half being like, this whole thing's not out of whack. It's just slightly out of sync. So there's still a big part of me that thinks this Chiefs team is capable of going on a winning run. Do you still think that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're talented enough. They are what their record is, though, right? I mean, you can't hide from that at this point, being 5-4 at this stage. Like, you are that. Even though I think they're a really good 5-4, and they're not far off from what they were last week. Look, the Bills played a great game. The Bills exposed everything that you can do to the Chiefs, and if you gave them truth serum, they were surprised at it as well. Certainly with what they were doing defensively. They were very surprised with how well they played defensively, and then picked on the things that the Chiefs don't do as well defensively in running kind of those mid routes middle of the field, get the tight end open, those types of things. They were masterful at what they were trying to do game planning-wise against the Chiefs. So tip your cap. They got that one. I still think this team is really good and really talented, but you just don't have any margin for error now in the win-loss column. Like those times are over. So they got to go out and win some games in any way, shape, or form. My biggest concern probably heading into the bye week is the health of the offensive line because 2 weeks ago everything looked fine, even without Josh Simmons, and now you're like, oh, I sure hope Josh Simmons is ready to go because who knows if 4/5 of that offensive line right now is healthy or feeling well. So they got really banged up. Trey Smith had to kind of grind out a game the other day. Kingsley came back in, but was hobbling around. John Taylor went out and couldn't come back in. There was a lot along that offensive line in very short order. I was like, okay, if there's one thing the bye week's going to be good for, it's resting up that offensive line because it looked. If you're beat up at 4 spots heading into a good stretch of games here, that's not a good spot to be in.
Kling, we'll talk more about him next week, but where are you on Bo Nix? I'm not exactly a believer, I would say, yet.
I saw some things certainly last year that I thought, that's intriguing. You might have found your guy. He moves just well enough to get himself out of trouble, which is great. He's not a runner per se, but he's like Mahomes, where he's kind of got that knack. He can get out and be mobile and move around. Is he going to gas you just yet? Not so much. I think that he's got obviously a very wise guy to lead him offensively. So no, I think they found their guy. I don't think that this is a guy where you say, well, we'll see in a couple of years. They're going to probably have to move on. I think they found their guy, and now their goal is to kind of build around him a little bit. I'm not completely sold on Denver, but again, their record is their record as well. Put themselves in a very good spot right now, and have also figured out a way to win games. They believe, and that goes a long way, right? If you have that belief, you can get it done. It certainly is an intangible that you can't put in the stat column, but I think it goes a long way when you start to say, we're pretty good. We believe we're pretty good, and we found out ways to win games. That makes you dangerous.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Broncos, Kling, because clearly you've seen the Chargers, and I do think they're a different team without Alt. I think that does make a difference for the Chargers team. The Broncos, I looked at the Chiefs 2024 season and this year's Broncos team, which everybody's talking about their offense out there, and it was exactly the same, if not better than the Chiefs last year. And you saw those, down to the wire victories for the Chiefs last year. It's what the Broncos are doing. This, I think, is what scares me the most, Kling, and you're going to get a chance to see them up close here, is they're not finding a way to lose. For years, Kling, doing the show and being with the Chiefs, you've seen teams that find a way to lose, like the Raiders. Like fumbling at Arrowhead Stadium at the end, or just like the last week's game against the Jags. But the one thing in the Broncos, they're finding a way to win those, and that's what I think makes them scary.
Yeah, they've had a couple of those where you're like, we probably found ourselves scoreboard watching, or actually opponent watching, more so this year than I know I have in like most recent years. But you keep waiting for the opponents as well to step up against the team, and then find these teams finding a way to crumble to allow the Chiefs to kind of reel them back into the pack. Well, Denver has not done that. Like, they've figured out a way to win games ugly. Last week was ugly, certainly, but they've been able to figure out how to do it. And as we saw with last year's Chiefs team, right, if you just keep doing those things, you don't apologize for it, but you have an utter belief that you're going to get it done even when you're kind of going uphill. So, yeah, that's what makes them dangerous. I'm glad there's still 2 more matchups with the Broncos, because I think it'll go a long way head-to-head, and you're going to need last week I might have said you need a split. You might need them both now.
Kling, Gold is spending his bye week in the Bahamas. What's your plan for the rest of the bye week?
Nice. Heading up to Iowa City for Iowa-Oregon. Going to go to my alma mater, and I'm trying to talk myself into an upset of a top 10 team.
It's going to be a great game, actually.
It should be good.
This
I think Iowa's going
to.
Are you and Dana going together? Is the broadcast crew, the Iowa crew, going up?
I think Dana was going somewhere else, and but he always pops in, he disappears places, where you don't think he's going to be. So I think his plan was to not be there, but then as I was discussing it, he was trying to talk himself into a way to get a circular trip somehow and be in Iowa City as well. So I wouldn't hold out that he might be there too, but we were going up to see some family anyway, and we're going to go to the game on Saturday. So,
any brewery I need to go to, Kling? I know you and I like to discuss breweries that just opened up or whatnot. Have you been to one kind of off the beaten path that I need to try?
In Kansas City,
it could be anywhere, Kling.
I was going to say lately I haven't been as Kansas City centric as I'd like to be because we've just been kind of busy. And then the way Kansas City's going right now, you need to get to them quick because I don't like this kind of downturn we're experiencing in those. But I think there's going to be one that's coming to the Metro. I don't know when their date is, but they are based out of Iowa City, and it's called Big Grove.
Okay.
And they're in Des Moines. There are a few places in Iowa, and their first non-Iowa brewery is going to be, I think, in Prairie Village, I want to say. And former Chargers kicker Nate Kading is one of the primary owner backers of the whole deal. And they've expanded. Their beer's really good. Their restaurants are really good. So they're going to be a solid addition to Kansas City when they open.
That's it. Kling, enjoy the rest of your bye week. We'll talk to you next week and hopefully be talking about I don't know, maybe next week we'll be talking about how the Broncos lost to the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. We'll get lucky.
That would be great. I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Josh Klinger, you can catch him on the Chiefs radio broadcast every single week right here on 96.5, The Fan, your home for the Chiefs. Sounds like he echoed the same thing you said, Bink. He fears the Broncos. And look, I gave the Chiefs credit for this, so I don't want to not give other teams credit. I don't like the way they play a huge chunk of games offensively. I'm not impressed with Bo Nix a huge chunk of the games. In the fourth quarter, they have come from behind against the Giants, the Eagles, the Texans. They held on against the Jets. They have been a salty-ass team in the fourth quarter. So, I don't want to diminish that.
No.
Credit to them. They obviously are a very salty team. I think it's largely because of defense, but also Bo Nix does seem to play his best in the biggest moment, and I think he deserves credit for that.
You got to find out, at the end of the game what your team will do. And I'll compare the 2024 Chiefs, 17th in total yards. The Broncos this year, 13th. Passing offense last year, Chiefs are 14th. The Broncos this year, 17th. Running offense, the Broncos are 7th this year. The Chiefs were 16th last year. Scoring points per game offensively, the Chiefs were 15th last year. The Broncos are 14th this year. And, of course, the great
one
defense.
team has Patrick Mahomes and one team has Bo Nix. And so, one thing feels more sustainable.
But the bottom line is the offenses were performing very similarly, and that's because of the injuries with the Chiefs' offense, of course. We know that was a big part of the equation. But a defense can get up the quarterback. They lead the NFL in sacks this year. They can do that. But I'm just saying, for all those concerns about the Chiefs last year, they're finding a way to win games and won a division by 4 games. In a division that was the only division in the AFC to have 3 playoff teams.
Do you know, even though, and that is crazy, do you know, even though that Nick Bonito's a great pass rusher, and we gush about him, and he's a big problem for the Chiefs coming up in a week and a half. You know that George Karlaftis has a better pressure rate than him this year?
And Aiden, too, right?
And, I did not understand the viscera fans had. I think it's because the pass rush stinks, and they're like, it must be Karlaftis' fault. And because for all the years, Bink, I did so long.
I got my shoes on.
But for a big chunk of the season, Bink, for other seasons, he was a bigger problem than Chris Jones. This year, Chris Jones is a bigger problem. And I think what's happening there is that they're running into this issue where they're trying to blame the wrong person. The people to blame on the defensive line are Chris Jones is not nearly as good. I'm not saying he stinks, but he's not nearly as dominant as he was. Charles Omenihu hasn't showed up. Felix Anudike got hurt. Ashton Gelati's a rookie. Derek Nottie hasn't been as good.
Gelati first got his first half sack.
It's like every other person on the defensive line that's the problem.
But to credit the Chiefs for getting Karlaftis done early.
Yeah, they're a big discount based on the contract we just saw.
Even getting a double-digit sack season, imagine what he commanded on the open market. So credit the Chiefs.
I mean, I just saw who just got signed.
Aiden.
Yeah, and he got double.
He's double. He's not double the player of George. He's better, in my opinion. Statistically, they're very close.
He's probably 20% better.
But he's not double salaried better. But anyway, that Karlaftis deal looks better and better. Again, it's because it's 25. He's 22 draft class. They gave him the extension. The same thing I'm calling for Rashee Rice to get in 26, considering he was 23 draft class. Think about Karlaftis when you give Rice an extension.
It just goes back to the same thing. This goes back to what I said with Kling, is that I think sometimes we talk about this team like they're talentless, and I don't think that that's true. I think there's a reason why they've been to as many Super Bowls as they have been recently. And is this team flawed and have issues? Yes. And is it weird because we're used to them overcoming those issues and just winning despite the problems they have at hand, yes. But I still think that a run, and we talked about this with the schedule earlier in the show too, Bink. I still think this team is capable of a run and going on a run as it results of that. So we'll just kind of see where it goes.
Look at the December schedule for the Chiefs. Again, Tennessee and Raiders, the only road games, the final 5 weeks.
Yeah.
The other ones are at home. 2 of those are divisional games against Chargers and Broncos. That's where you
historically they've been very good.
But I'll remind people too, it hasn't always been this good in Kansas City, as you can verify.
No.
We went 21 years without winning a playoff game. 21 years. Babies were conceived, born, and sitting in a bar drinking a beer legally in the time it took for the Chiefs to win a postseason game.
So if you're a fan of another
now
team, it
Mahomes
gets
already
better.
has 17 playoff wins.
That's insane.
This is not how this
Second
usually
highest in
works.
NFL history, and he's 30.
It's not usually how this works in this town.
Sports Talk on 96.5 The Fan is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to learn more. When we come back, earlier today, Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider, joined us. We talked to him about the Chiefs and where they are, plus how much better the Colts got with Sauce Gardner yesterday. We'll re-air part of that coming up for you next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, Zach, are you smiling at my gorgeous canyon view?
No, Donald. I'm smiling because I've got something I want to tell the whole world.
Well, do it. Shout it out.
T-Mobile's got home internet.
Whoa, I love that echo. T-Mobile's got home internet.
How much is it?
Look at that, Zach. We got the neighbor's attention.
Just $35 a month. And you love a great deal, Denise.
Plus, they've got a 5-year price guarantee. That's 5 whole trips around the sun.
I'm switching. Me too.
Yes, T-Mobile home internet for the neighborhood.
Donald, you still haven't returned my weed whacker.
Carl, don't you embarrass me like this, please.
What's everyone yelling about?
T-Mobile's got home internet.
And Donald's got my weed whacker.
Yes, T-Mobile's got home internet. Just $35 a month with auto pay and any voice line. And it's guaranteed for 5 years.
Beautiful yodeling, Carl.
Taxes and fees apply. See T-Mobile.com/ISP for details and exclusions.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
Hey friends, it's noisy out there. With information coming at us all day, every day, it's hard to know what to trust. And the world of wealth management is no exception. That's why UMB Private Wealth Management helps you tune out the noise and tune into what matters most. They'll create a financial plan based on your unique goals. So it's your voice that comes through loud and clear. Get financial clarity. Go to umb.com/private wealth to schedule an appointment. That's umb.com/private wealth.
It's about time pros had one partner for every part of the job. Simple ordering, fast delivery, continuous support, all from one partner. The Home Depot delivers supplies on your schedule. Our pro team helps you plan ahead so projects run smoother. And with Pro Extra benefits, you can simplify ordering, track spending, and save time every step of the way. Because with one partner, you get more than materials, you keep your job moving. The Home Depot Pro. It's about time.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppable, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Is your everyday congestion preventing you from enjoying life's big moments? Try Vicks Sinex Saline today and get yourself back in the action. Vicks Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion with a gentle ultrafine mist. Sinex Saline's drug-free, no-mess formula instantly moisturizes and soothes dry, irritated nasal passages for quick and effective relief. Get back to enjoying life's big moments to the fullest without having to worry about everyday congestion holding you back. Just Sinex, breathe, use as directed.
You want Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's gets it. We check the calendar, and Christmas is coming early. $99 is all you need to grab your favorite select 7-foot pre-lit artificial Christmas tree for the holiday season. And don't sweat what gifts to get Dad, because we've got up to 40% off select tools and accessories. That's how Lowe's celebrates Black Friday early. Selection varies by location, while supplies last.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this. What's trending?
God dang!
Brought to you by Telly Tire and Auto Centers. Winning starts with a great drive. Since 1942, Telly's certified techs have delivered complete car care with top brand tires and expert auto service. Keep your drive going. Take it to Telly. Visit TellyTire.com today.
Number one on What's Trending, the Royals do extend Salvador Perez for 2 seasons, keeping him in Kansas City through the 2027 year. That deal worth 2 years, $25 million, $12.5 million per year, and a little over $7 million signing bonus. So we'll see which comes from it next. But the Royals keep Salvador Perez as a Royal for, at least now, continued lifetime.
And you can go watch him or watch him on FanDuel.
That's right.
Because they've extended that as well. Speaking of extensions, they just sent an email out on that for the Royals. But I think it's a good move. We talked to JJ about it, mentoring, the way he talked about Fermin, back from Venezuela days. He idolized Salvador Perez, was able to mentor him. Carter Jensen grew up watching Salvador Perez, and of course he can mentor Carter Jensen as well. And I will say this, he's one of 15 guys last year in Major League Baseball with at least 100 RBI, which I do think counts for something on a team that was starved for
Absolutely.
runs.
Absolutely.
Also, what's trending, the first of 6 college football playoff ranking schedule came out last night.
Who are the 4 teams of the bye, Bink?
Drew and I were 100% glued to this last night. I can guarantee that. It's the first of 6. It's always kind of fun. I always like these Selection Sunday type shows. I always kind of a big fan of those going forward. But this is like one of the few years I didn't have a disagreement with anything. The top 4
No controversy
seeds,
this time?
I guess
Not really.
There might have been, but there really wasn't. Ohio State's 1, Indiana 2, A&M's 3, Alabama 4. Of course, all great quarterbacks with all these, like Mendoza at Indiana, Marcel Reed at A&M, Julian Sayin at Ohio State, and Ty Simpson at Alabama. Missouri, one of the 2 games with both teams ranked, faces Texas A&M and Marcel Reed. They're coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
Missouri's coming off a bye week. Missouri's going with Matt Zollers, the quarterback. That game in Columbia. So Missouri versus Texas A&M. Fun. Of course, the other ranked game this week is BYU versus Texas Tech. Andy Reid versus Patrick Mahomes. Alumni showdown.
Somebody on the text line earlier asked, wait, so if Missouri wins out, will they go to the college football playoff? Yes is the answer to that. I just also don't think they're going to win out against a top 5 team in A&M.
With the true
Oklahoma
freshman quarterback making his first start.
Seems pretty unlikely. Next up on What's Trending, Kansas State basketball opened up their season yesterday with a win. 93-64 over UNC Greensboro. Big transfer, obviously, topping the scores with 27 points for Kansas State, getting the job done for them. It was a tight game at halftime. Absolutely blew the doors off of them after. What's their mascot? Do you know, Drew? UNC Greensboro, you know their
Spartans,
mascot?
I believe.
Spartans.
And you can hear those games right here, 96.5
right.
The Fan, all the Kansas State basketball games. I, last night, was watching the MAC. You know why I was watching the MAC? Because I love the MAC. And it's back.
Miami
And forget
Ohio.
about Conference USA. That's been spotted. It's been fun watching Missouri State lately. But the freaking MAC is back, baby.
Congrats, Bink. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold.
You said that so passively, like, thanks.
You know what? He
Stay
likes
over there
Mac.
on the Mac side.
For you, Cody.
The Mac is great.
For you, Drew.
I'm
The
not
MAC
kidding.
is back.
I'm not kidding. I made a Mac reference on this show 2 days ago, didn't I, Drew?
Yeah.
On
you
Monday,
did.
I said, is there Maction this weekend? I know you'll be very happy, and I know Bink will be very
Tuesday,
happy
yeah.
if Maction is back. And he said yes.
Yes.
Tuesday and Wednesday. There is
Fesco
Maction
was watching
this
it
week.
last night. He said, hey, I'm watching
wow.
this Miami game in Ohio.
Hey.
Even Fesco bought into Maction last night.
Turns out people
That's
like
awesome.
football. Although this was the most watched World Series since 1991 worldwide, by the way.
Yeah,
because Canada
I saw the new
and
numbers,
Japan and the United States all tuning in for a game together.
Shohei
Game 7 was the
Ohtani,
most,
102 RBI. Sal Perez, 100.
certainly not the
What
most
was it, Cody?
surprising episode.
51 million for Game 7. I think I saw a number. It might have been 51
It was a
million
worldwide
total,
audience.
worldwide for Game 7.
Yes. Yes. So huge numbers. But earlier today, we were joined by our Odyssey NFL insider, Ross Tucker. He joined us, and we started things off. Gold's gone today, immediately on the flight. Someone took their shoes off and were barefoot on the plane. I asked Ross if he's ever dealt with that before.
Bare feet's tough. I don't think you say anything. I just think you have to, unfortunately, grin and bear it. I don't have much of a problem if the person has socks on, but no, I mean, what are you going to say? If they're the type of person that would do that, then they're not, you're not going to change their mind by saying something.
What's the worst experience you've had next to someone with you on a flight? You fly all the time, so I know you've had a few.
Man, there's a lot of ways I could go here.
You got some choices.
I think maybe the worst one might be someone that actually sleeps, but they're like a crazy snorer.
Oh, man, yeah.
So if I'm trying to like get work done or whatever, and I really struggle to sleep on planes, and they're just like making all kinds of noise, that's tough.
He's right. That sucks.
That's really tough. That would be high on the list, I would say. The next thing would be if you're someone that, like, I'm an aisle guy.
Okay. Taller, that makes sense.
Yeah. If you're someone that picks the window, but then has to get up 3 times, that's frustrating. Now, if if it wasn't your desire to be there, if it just worked out that way, I guess that's a little bit different. But I know I'm going to get up multiple times, so I'm always in the aisle because I don't want to disturb anybody else.
I always don't like the seat kicker, the person sitting behind you that has to put their feet up on your seat.
Ooh, well, you know what? I had an experience recently. A lot of these seats now have, like, touch screens almost.
Yeah.
Like some of the United, like, touch screen entertainment. And the person behind me on a recent flight, they must have kept changing the channel or kept going through to see what their options were. But it was like they were just like poking me in the back, like over and over again. They didn't need to hit the screen as hard as they were hitting it. So I just kept feeling like bam, 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 in my back. That was not cool.
Like it's the same 7 episodes of The Office, man. Just make a selection. We don't need to, have to spend half the time. We can talk a little NFL.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
Like you've been through the whole menu 3 times. I think we got it.
Let's talk a little NFL. The Chiefs did not make a move at the trade deadline, and I'll ask you how much better the Colts got here in just a minute. I guess, were you surprised the Chiefs didn't make a move? Is it still a Super Bowl caliber roster without an additional defensive lineman? And I guess, would you have given up a third for Breece Hall, like the reports are suggesting?
I don't think I would have given up a third for Breece Hall. I mean, I don't think that is like what the Chiefs needed or would have been what separated them. I think a D lineman, you can never go wrong getting a defensive lineman.
Sure.
They might say to you, well, we've already been doing that with Noddy and Pennell, and we've already been bringing guys in. I don't know. I mean, what have they done the last few years? You'd have to refresh my memory.
Oh, they've been to the Super Bowl 5 of the last 6 and attended the last 3 Super Bowls, 2 of which they won.
No, I mean at the trade deadline.
D-Hop was the most recent.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins.
I am aware, Cody, of the Chiefs' success. If I was not aware of the Chiefs' success, it would be really questionable of you to have me on the show every
That's
week.
a fair point. No, they've made some minor moves here or there. They gave up a 3rd-round pick for Kadarius Toney a few years back. They gave up a conditional 5th
Ingram
for DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, they've made some occasional moves, Ross, but I would not say they've been the busiest team at the trade deadline.
No, I'd agree. I mean, in fairness to Toney, I don't know if they win that Super Bowl without Kadarius Toney, as crazy as that is to say.
In retrospect? But it's still the same. Like, we saw fans say, we gave a 3rd for Toney, but why not give up 1 for Hall? I'm like, yeah, but if you went back in time, you wouldn't be like chomping at the bit to give up a 3rd for Toney, who barely played for you.
And the one thing, too, is Toney was still on a rookie contract. Brees Hall will be a UFA. Ross, you're a smart guy. You played in this league a long time. How tough is that for a guy to come over to the trade deadline? I mean, what are the easiest positions a guy can be traded for, and you put him right in there? Because Brees Hall with the offense, obviously Andy Reid's offense, a tough offense to get. You can't just literally throw somebody right in there. It's going to understand the playbook. It's a big reason why they like Kareem Hunt, because he's been here before and was able to come here. It's a big reason why the Chiefs like guys that have played here before, because they understand the playbook. But how tough is that? Like defensive line or whatever, how tough is that coming in, like at the trade line and just getting it right away?
It's a really good question. I know multiple times in my career, one time I got released by Washington, picked up the next day off waivers by the Cowboys, and I suited up for the Cowboys on Sunday. And I was ready to go. Like I knew the game plan. I knew the playbook. What it really is kind of the nuances. So for an offensive lineman, it's how do they want to do things, and you've never worked really very much at all with the guys on either side of you. For a skill guy, it's, well, okay, I know what the playbook says, but how does Mahomes want me to run that route? What are the subtleties that Mahomes is looking for? Because contrary to popular belief, like, every guy is a little bit different in the way they go about things. So if you can't just blanketly say, okay, we're going to do this and know exactly what he's going to do. Does he look over the left shoulder, the right shoulder? How does he like the ball? Where do you want to throw it to him? You can still get it done. It's just not necessarily the level of precision that you'd like.
When you look at what the Colts are doing so far, how much better do you think they are with Sauce Gardner? I thought they overpaid, but at the same time, I guess, maybe they're looking at this as, and I guess this is how I thought, maybe they're looking at this as the Bills are a little bit worse than normal, the Bengals are worse than normal, the Ravens are worse than normal, the Chiefs are worse than normal. Maybe they're just looking at this as a massive opportunity cost year where if they've got one of the better rosters anyway, bringing in a guy like Sauce Gardner is worth it.
So I think there's a couple layers to it, right? Number one, he just signed that extension. So they have, they saved some money because they didn't have to give him, the signing bonus that he got from the Jets, even though it wasn't like a massive one. He just got a new contract, which puts them in a good position. He's only 24 years old, and I think they look at him like, he's 2-time first-team All-Pro, and he's under contract now through 2030. So I think they look at it like, all right, we got a guy that we think is a premier player at a really important position, locked up through 2030, and, it's actually the numbers are reasonable for a player of that ilk. So now they don't have to worry about it. Like, they probably were going to draft the corner in the first round one of the next couple of years. Now they don't have to.
Sure.
Because they have Gardner under contract for the long haul. And those dollar amounts for other guys you would get are just going to go up, whereas Sauce Gardner's kind of locked in. And I do think that there's the part about going for it this year. They do have Daniel Jones only, quote unquote, only making $14 million or whatever it is. So I think that they look at it like, hey, this is a golden opportunity for us to try to make a run at it. And I think not just this year, but over the next few years, having a guy like Gardner.
Ross, when you look at the AFC and you think of these 7-2 teams, like the Patriots, like the Colts, and then the Denver Broncos, who do remind me of the Chiefs a little bit. They just find a way to win. But the bottom line is they're finding a way to win, whether it's, the fourth quarter and 33 points or coming back on Houston at the end. But bottom line is they're winning games. Who are you buying more, the Patriots, the Colts, or the Broncos of these 7-2 teams?
It's a great question. I think I'm still going to say the Colts. I think I'll say the Colts because they've just been so good, especially on offense. Such a machine. And even though they lost the Steelers on Sunday, I think recency bias would make you say, okay, no, it's the Patriots or it's the Broncos. I'm not going to do that. The Colts had 6 turnovers, which they haven't really done this year at all, and they still only lost by a touchdown. So to me, that would lend itself to, okay, they still are the best team. If you look at net point differential, that would suggest that as well. Patriots are impressive, but I don't know. They still feel like a year away to me. Broncos are now, you think about the Texans game or the Giants game, they're more the team, I think, that's kind of figuring out ways to win late. They have a good defense, and Bo Nix looks like a clutch performer. But I would say the Colts are the ones that I think are the biggest threat to maybe win the AFC.
Is it? And I guess you've got a sharper football mind probably than me, Ross. I can't figure out on Bo Nix whether I like him or not, because when I watch him play 3.5 quarters out of the game, I'm like, well, that guy is not very good. And then I watch him in the final 8 minutes of the game or 15 minutes of the game when they desperately need some points, and it looks like he can move the ball. I guess just where are you individually on Bo Nix? And if you are a believer in him, talk me into why what I'm seeing a huge chunk of the game shouldn't concern me.
So, yeah, I think I'm a believer in him because he plays his best when it matters the most.
Yeah.
Late in games. And I think that quarterbacks either have that or they don't. So I think that's a real positive for him. The flip side, I would say, is, do I think he is Josh Allen or Mahomes or one of these other guys, Herbert even? No. And I don't think he ever will be. The question is whether or not, or Lamar, obviously, is he good enough? And I think we're going to find that out. I think he can continue to get better. But it's also like, so what? It's really hard to find one of those guys. If you have a quarterback that you can win with, that's great. Be happy about that and realize you can win a bunch of games and maybe do damage in the playoffs, as opposed to saying, well, Bo Nix isn't Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Not many guys are.
Ross, last question, then once you get out of here, college football playoff rankings came out. You got any of the teams in the field this weekend?
What do you mean in the field?
Well, which game are you on Saturday? Are you covering into the college football playoff squads?
No, I actually don't have a college game this weekend.
Oh, you're free.
I just have Packers, Eagles Monday night for Westwood One Radio. So no NFL or college. I doubled up last week for CBS. This week I have nothing for CBS, and just the Westwood One Monday night with Kevin Harlan, Packers, Eagles at Lambeau. Should be fun. I don't think I made it to Lambeau last year, so I'm looking forward to it.
That was Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL Insider earlier today. Insider calls, of course, brought to you by Nationwide. When we look, Bink, and I don't know if you agree or not. Part of what he's talking about with the Broncos and the Colts and going for Sauce Gardner is what we talked a little bit about yesterday, Drew, where if I were a different AFC team, This is the best I have felt about my chance to get to a Super Bowl in years. Buffalo is worse than normal. The Chiefs are worse than normal. The Bengals are hurt and out of it. The Ravens are worse than normal. Like, if you're the Broncos, if you're the Colts, this is the best this is the best Bink I would have felt in your shoes are on. I have felt in years about your opportunity. Don't you guys think so?
Yes.
Well, yes and no. And here's the thing. They kind of mortgaged a lot. Listen, Sauce is a good player. Is he as good as he was in the beginning? Has he really been tested? I don't know. He's a good player, but is he worth 2 2s or 2 1s? And how much do you believe in the Colts being real? And how much is false narrative? Because, again, the schedule for the Colts is going to get tougher now. I think that's extremely fair. When you look at, twice you beat the Titans, you beat the Raiders, you beat the Dolphins, and we're sitting here, you beat the Chargers, but it was a depleted offensive line for the Chargers when you beat them. And now the schedule gets real. You go play the 32nd ranked pass defense, and you still had 5 turnovers, could have been 6 turnovers in that game. I don't know if it's worth sacrificing your future thinking, all right, we found our guy. Did you find your guy, or did you find somebody to beat a soft schedule with great running from Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, or the best young tight end in football, and Tyler Warren?
But this is your best chance. It might be your best chance ever. How many windows of teams?
Well, that's Billy
the Bills
Bean
and the
pushing
Chiefs and the
all in.
Ravens and the Bengals are all going to be down in the same year.
That's Billy Bean pushing all in with the 2014 A's.
That's kind of why I was
100%.
That's why I was a little bit surprised. I think that the Broncos. I know there were some rumblings around
and the
Jalen
Bills.
Waddle.
I thought the Bills might swing harder.
Yeah. It felt like Jalen Waddle could be available or something like that, where Denver would really. There's some rumblings around that. For the Colts, it's interesting because it feels like they've got a nice nucleus of players that their offense feels very. It's like the Packers in a way but Michael Pittman is better, I think, than the other wide receivers that Green Bay has.
I think so, but he's not significantly better.
But it feels very much like they've got a really good tight end. They've got a good running back. Jonathan Taylor's better than Josh Jacobs. Quarterback play, obviously, in Green Bay is better than Daniel Jones from the standpoint of what we believe. But Daniel Jones is playing great outside of this game against Pittsburgh.
Great line play.
It feels very similar where they've got a lot of different players. The offensive line is cohesive. Defensively, you just add that player where if you get to the point where you are facing the Kansas City Chiefs in an AFC title game or whatever the case is, they've got a roster. They brought in a DB that can help them win this year more than maybe they had before, obviously. The whole thing with the 2 1s, I'm from the standpoint of if you've got a really good player, are you sure that that the Colts would be able to get the same type of talent with those 2 picks of Sauce Gardner, who is an all-pro corner, one of the best 3 corners in the game?
With 1 pick, the answer is probably no.
Yes,
Even if you just took a first-round corner, the answer is probably no.
Yeah.
2 shots, I'd say you'd have an opportunity to find a player as good as
and at
Sauce.
least maybe you collectively between the 2 players find a way to make the talent of Sauce Gardner. So
But
I
are
get
you
the
buying
argument
into the Colts if they have a great year, they have a first-place schedule, you buying into the same extended success from the Colts this year? Or we've seen this in the
extended
NFL.
success is in what, like 3 years of going to an AFC title game?
I'm just
or
saying
being a contender?
we've seen Johnny come latelys all the time in the NFL.
Yeah,
they rise up and then they hit the bottom the next year. We've seen it time in and time out. These teams that come up